yes, you can. You can definitely introduce me to the Seraphine. The Seraphine Ash has been pretty ludicrous. But ladies and gentlemen, we are hot dropping straight in to Champion Select here for game number 1 of this best of 5. B&K are going to be on the blue side for this one, and BLG on the red. Very interested to see how these bans are going to go. It's been a couple of patches since we did have some competition, so looking forward to seeing what's changed.
Yeah, we'll see if priorities have really changed very much.
I saw that there's an Orianna and a Azir ban, so I was
going to say it's looking kind of similar.
Yeah, never mind. You can nerf Azir as much as you like. He will still be on that ban
that
list.
champion can be like 30% win rate in solo
I'm pretty
queue,
sure he
and people
starts with like 3 health now. I don't know.
your opponent spawns in with a large rod when you play Azir at this point. There's no like, I think I'll go for that first pick.
I'm going to need the pigeon for this one. But the Rumble going to be taken away here from Clear. Clear has been definitely gravitating towards that champion. I imagine Bin isn't going to be too worried about it. I'm scared of Gwen, but mainly for historic reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Gwen is a nasty champ. I think as much as people talk a lot about the bot lane, to me, a lot of this series is going to be decided by the solo lanes. You know, can the BFX solo lanes stand up to Bin and Knight, two of the most storied players from the LPL all time? Knight, to me, is now at this point the LPL GOAT. He has been running those finals. Ban's looking pretty standard, and while Vikla has been having an incredible series, you know, will he be able to bring it here to the international stage? BFX obviously with much less international experience than their counterparts here on the other side, and I think Rise first pick, it's looking pretty usual. Yeah.
That being said, Rise kind of escaped all of the needing to be nerfed that he's had for quite a while.
Little Pantheon Talia or Vi Talia. Okay.
Wow. Okay. And they are wasting no time getting into this as well. We've seen the Vi priority be extraordinarily high in the LCK. Talia, we don't like quite as much. And so I'm looking at BLG, and a Jarvan pickup here alongside the Rise is pretty scary, even if the Vi Talia has been successful in the past.
Well, and especially because of the ability to get out to the side lanes, to affect those side lanes. I think both of these champions are kind of doing similar things. You obviously have the Weaver's Wall moving out to side lanes. You have Realm Warp moving out to side lanes, being able to actually collapse on those side lanes. And assuming the Jarvan does get locked in, which it is, Jarvan and Vi both can kind of do similar things. They can get aggressive early. They can be looking for those explosive engages. So, you know, pretty similar across the board here so far. And I'm going to be curious to see if BLG is looking for a support pick, which kind of might be my expectation, to try to protect Bin's top lane pick for later.
Yeah, I do really like a Bard lock-in as well. Very flexible. You can kind of play it with whatever you want and would be decent in the lane. Varus, not quite the champion that he used to be, but is going to be a consideration and locked in here for Viper.
So Varus obviously has been getting some nerfs, mostly targeted towards poke Varus. On hit is still pretty powerful, so I'll be curious to see if Viper is going to be playing on hit or if it is going to be poke. And we are going to get the clear Ambessa here. Obviously, it is a flex pick. We already have Vi, so we know that it is going to be played towards that top side. Really good follow-up on the Vi. You go in with the ultimate. You can follow up with the public execution very easily. Point and click, get in on that back line, which is going to make things difficult then for Viper on this Varus, regardless of what build he's going.
Well, let's see what the bans are going to be aimed towards. I imagine supports will likely just be eradicated at this point in time. I would expect B&K probably want to get rid of something like a Nautilus. We've seen Nautilus paired alongside the on-hit Varus quite a lot. But we'll see whether it is just going to be like maybe a Nami to be taken away alongside the Karma that's already been removed. The Nico, even though she has been nerfed a little bit on this patch, is still pretty dangerous. But Diablo isn't going to be able to play his Ezreal.
Yeah, the Ezreal is going to get banned out. To me, I was thinking because they had already banned the Karma, that's kind of that premier pairing. So I thought they would have maybe targeted things like Nami and Seraphine to take away potential Ashe Seraphine, as well as Corki Nami, which are also really popular pairings. But clearly they are very concerned about having an AD carry that's easy to attack, right? So if you're going to go for the Jarvan, they don't want it to have a dash. You know, if you're going to be banning away safe AD carries, Xayah is another option if they're really worried about, you know, having a safe AD carry for Diablo. So that could be the attempt here if you want to just kind of put him on things that are a little bit more dangerous. Yunara, he is famous for Yunara, especially alongside the Lulu. Really loves to play aggressive, really likes to get in people's faces. And of course the RE on Yunara can be quite safe as well. We could maybe get like Corki Nico or something like that.
I was going to say, Corki Nico is still pretty strong.
Yeah.
And that is what they're going to lock in, at least the Nico portion of it. You were talking about Lulu. Could be something that could work alongside an on-hit Varus as well. A lot of on-hitting if you get picks into the mix. That was an unintentional rhyme. I apologize. It's quite early.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. Well, Viper, what are we going to be locking in? Is it going to be your lane partner's champion? And it looks like that will be the case. And no real threat of being silenced at this angle as well. Every time the Alistair is locked in, I always freak out about the Chainman, but it's not going to happen this time. As now on, what are we going to be rounding out this
We're looking for Bin's pick. So Jax would be the classic, and it's always a treat to see him on his Jax. Best Jax, you know, in the world, I think, for my money. When he's at his best, he is incredible. Though Keen is kind of the best at everything, so
I was gonna say,
that's the problem.
If you don't include Keen, then it's fine. It's like a lot of the Faker stats. You just have to take Faker out of it. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. This would be fun though, as Diablo is a big fan of the Kai'Sa, and yeah, you just may as well go all in. And this is what BNK Furex really built themselves around last year.
They can't dive you if you're diving them.
Exactly. And they would just keep it simple. That's what the drafts were. That was alongside Ryu, right, when he was on the squad as their coach. He's now on the other team that's here at First Stand instead. And it's Edo that's made his way in alongside Rather this time around. Lyra there up on the stage as well, that you might remember from North America. But this is looking like a very old school BNK Furex draft, and I think keeping it what you're used to in your first international game here at First Stand 2026, that is a great move. Of course, they were at ASI last year. They did manage to win that. Wasn't necessarily the same thing as something like this.
I mean, this is a really interesting draft. I feel like, honestly, really like what BFX has gotten as I'm trying to think about, you know, how the fights are going to play out. They have a lot of CC. They have a lot of power here. And when you're looking over at the other side, it's a lot of short range, right? I think Pop Blossom is going to be massively effective in these team fights when you're thinking about how Rise and Jax and Jarvan want to play the fight. You know, whether you're going for engage or counter engage, the Pop Blossom, I think, is going to be quite effective. I do think there could be problems, though, in the 1-3-1 for BFX when you're looking over at a Rise as well as a Jax. A lot of power there, and I think that's how BLG are really going to want to focus on playing this game. Play it through the side lanes, less about Viper, more how they have been really playing regionally. As big of a deal as it was for them to get Viper, the team has still really been about Knight and been about Bin, and Bin was coming into this tournament extremely confident, you know, calling out Keen, calling out everyone as he is wont to do, and it's going to be really fun if he is in form.
Yeah, and I actually think that Viper fitting into a roster like this makes a lot of sense. It was exactly what it was on HLE, right? That was a team that was built around a very powerful top side of the map, in Zeus and in Zeka, when Zeka was having a good day. And so I think that, like, slotting Viper into a squad that looks like this is very plug and play. And we've seen that already with the amount of success that they've had. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 1 of our first best of 5 of First Stand here for 2026. BNK Furex didn't get the first pick opportunity, but they are on the blue side this time around as they picked up right of first selection. Kind of fun that we get this for the first time internationally. And let's just see how this one is going to begin. I imagine we're looking pretty happy on the BNK side as far as the bottom side of the map is concerned. Alistair doesn't really do anything. And Bin certainly has not necessarily been known as being a weak point.
No, I mean, he has been incredible. It's going to be a trade of ghosts here. Vikla needs to back up and get out of range of any more damage that would be coming in there. Nothing too out of the ordinary as far as the rune setups are going to be. It is going to be Viper playing Poke Varus, so that is going to be up and available as Knight is getting some really good trades here onto Vikla early on, and that's already both potions gone for Vikla, and he's going to have to walk the long way around. It is a bit awkward for him now because the wave is pushing away from him.
Yeah, and he missed out on experience, I believe, on that last minion. That's kind of crazy.
He's just getting full zoned, and Knight is...
And there is vision here as well, so Knight might just be able to solo kill him. The Raptor's getting involved, and there is first blood for Knight. Man, I would wanted to start talking about whether Vikla could get a solo kill because he managed to take down Chovy, managed to take down Faker, and Knight says, no, not me, mate. That's not happening today.
Not yet, that is for sure. That is a horrible start for Vikla, and I have to think that was a misclick on the Raptors. There's no reason for him to hit the Raptors there.
Yeah.
He aggroed the Raptors, takes extra damage from them, and then flashed over the wall, actually died to the Raptors. Knight didn't even have to flash. At least, as Vikla, you're saying, okay, no flash rise, maybe you can get a gank or something, but that is a horrendous start. He's zoned off of experience, and Knight just plays this really, really well. He just knows his limits. He's playing in the face of Vikla. Vikla can never allow him to get that empowered hit off. He didn't want that Rune Prison to come down. And then, yeah, just a misclick. He was trying to click into the back of the pit to flash over the wall. And unfortunately, because he autos it, he aggroes the Raptors, has to flash earlier than he would have wanted. I think he would have wanted to go all the way into the corner and flash towards his tower so that Knight can't flash and follow. And it does mean he goes down at the end of the day. So an absolutely horrific start there for Vikla.
Well, let's see whether Raptor can fix it, as already he's going for something. Meanwhile, on this bottom side of the map, we've got a little bit of action, but not too much more than that. Viper is completely out of mana. Diablo and Kellen being able to shove this one up. And oftentimes, the Kai'Sa lanes can struggle a little bit early, not when there's a Nico into an Analyst. So that one's doing all right.
But, I mean, on trades flash for Diablo, so that is actually really, really good. They get flash for flash heal off on the other side. Viper is playing TP, so yes, obviously you do have the advantage as far as the early lane here against the All-Star, but that is On's most played. He is super comfortable. And BLG,
oh dear,
they are looking good, and Clear is not going to be happy about this, TD.
Yeah, the turtle port coming on in, and he had to watch that one very, very slowly. Clear does get his shield and flashes away, and will be able to keep himself alive, but he is once again going back home.
Yeah, I mean, great, you got away, but you lost your flash, your TP, the wave is frozen on you. He's got a spam ping assist. You can see the assist pings coming through. If Shun stays, Clear is screwed, and he stayed. So he's flipping it. This is the top lane nightmare. When the wave is frozen on you, you cannot base in that spot. He was assist pinging Raptor, but then he didn't wait for Raptor to come up, so it's not like Raptor could do anything. He said, you know what, if he's here, I die. And he went for it. Guess what? He was there, so he died. Now the wave is still frozen on you. Bin gets the kill, and this game is already kind of out of control here. I mean, yeah, you have the Nico on the bot side, so your lane is doing fine, but I would even say they're losing the 2v2 because Diablo has actually lost his flash. Viper got a free reset.
Fight. There's a pulverize onto Raptor. Headbutted back there as well, but he still has to contend with Knight. Gets the Vault Breaker over the wall. So the jungler does make his way out of there, but these 2 kills and the fact that this top lane is now basically over is going to make things a little difficult here for BNK. All right, let's have a look. There is a snare onto On, but he is just testing the waters as Kellen has made his way up.
And On is going to actually look.
Flash out. Kellen knows that he's in trouble. Vault Breaker comes through. There's the seismic shot. For the world, as there is a headbutt from On to get him into the back of that Raptor pit. That is exactly where Vikla wanted to be before, and Raptor is going to die in pretty much the same spot.
Yep, dies where his namesake comes from, you know, dies in his home at least.
Exactly.
At home, surrounded by those he loves. Yeah, nice little headbutt interrupting the Vault Breaker that was getting charged up. Obviously, Raptor going to try to get over the wall. But this game is already out of control. 5 minutes in, BFX have kind of just fallen apart, and On is just going to force the issue. He goes for it. He gets a flash early off of Kellen. Shun is there with a nice flash follow. Yeah, he's going to take a ton of damage, but look who is being ignored. It is Knight, and Vikla is out of mana. Vikla obviously very far behind because of how early this lane got out of control. There's no flash on Raptor. His only way out would have been Vault Breaker over the wall. On says no to that, so you get a couple more kills here on the side of BLG. You have 3 winning lanes at this point, and the solo lanes are very, very far ahead. 600 gold lead plus in the top lane. Oh, hit 1,000 there. Knight's gonna kill him again.
That's a solo kill under an inner turret there, Zale. Let's see where the Knight can get. No, he's not going to be able to get out. So at least it's a 1-for-1. As BNK Fearex, I mean, they were on the board with that kill under Shun. Now a couple to their name, but I think that BLG is feeling pretty good about the state of this game right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Knight hadn't even bought. Look at his inventory. He was just on the tier and the Doran's ring.
Oh, God.
He just spent 2,000 gold after solo killing him again.
Oh, well, Vikla definitely didn't spend 2,000 gold so far this game. He has a lost chapter, and that is about it.
He's economical. He doesn't need all that extra gold.
Yeah, I don't know quite whether that's going to help him win, though, Zale. That's the only issue that I have.
He's very thrifty.
Yeah, I do appreciate being a little bit thrifty, but I just don't think that it's a great idea when you need to buy as many items as you possibly can to win the games. Now Vikla is, yeah, just never able to walk up to Knight ever again.
Yeah, how about that 8-minute Roa that's going to be incoming for Knight? Do you think that's going to help him win the game?
Well, you know, the best thing is his Roa is going to be finished so early, he's not going to be getting as much value from the level up.
Oh, true.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the silver lining that I've got for you, Azale. That's the end of it. Don't ask me for more. And now Knight just clears out the wave, and every time he leaves, things get very, very scary. Here for BNK FearX is Shun up here towards his top side. Clear will be able to see him on this ward, and immediately knows that he has to get the heck out of there. The Realm Warp will undoubtedly be following.
They want Shun.
Yeah. Kellen is making his way up, is joining the minion wave here. Home Guard's kind of wrecking him, which is a little bit hilarious. Wants to be able to walk the same speed as the minions.
Yeah, I thought that they were going to try to collapse because, I mean, Vikla actually spent a long time walking up there, and Kellen was on that side of the map, so I thought they might try to look for a play onto Shun, but at the end of the day, they don't think that there is an angle there. And Bin doesn't greed for anything, just pushes in the wave, stays backed off. He knows that he's in absolute comfort right now. He's going to get early steel caps. He has a cull.
Oh, public execution here towards his top side, but I think Cleo was using it mainly defensively as he flashes out of the way of Bin's leap strike. And in the meantime, Kellen is once again in a little bit of a rough spot, but he's able to keep himself alive for now. On didn't have quite as much damage in those hooves.
Yeah, so Viper playing pretty respectfully, has fallen a little bit behind as far as the CS is concerned, but doesn't want to.
There's the flash from Bin, had that advantage. Is now, let's see whether Clear can get himself out of the way. The answer is probably not, as there's the bonk, and Bin picks it up with an empower.
Nicely done. Bin going to be able to grab a solo on top side. That is both of the solo laners here for BLG. Getting solo kills in game 1 of First Stand. BLG is looking really, really strong.
Yeah, this is looking like a little bit of a wake-up call here for BNK as Knight once again clears out another minion wave and once again looks to threaten on elsewhere on the map. Does get spotted out by this ward at the moment, but it looks like Shun is just going to be taking himself a dragon.
Yep, and to talk a little bit about Knight, this guy has been racking up championships. Bin, though, is maybe going to be in some trouble, but he's going to fight in the wave. This is not an easy fight here.
There's the flash off the Vault Breaker here from Raptor. He does have cease and desist, so Bin is likely just going to die here. Does have the counter strike, but it's a good Vault Breaker to come on through. There's the cease and desist. Finally, they managed to take him down, and you could see just how dangerous that was.
Yeah, really. I mean, Raptor obviously didn't want to use the ult, but they're going to run more bot.
Yeah, in the meantime, there's a Pulverize onto Diablo. Great killer instinct to get himself out of the way as Pop Blossom keeps them all busy, but they just decide they'll kill Kellen. Down will go the Cal, though, so a 1-for-1, not exactly what BNK were looking for.
Yep.
Sorry, PLG were looking for.
At least they do get one back there, but yeah, it is not even a kill onto Diablo, so they just trade supports at the end of the day. They are going to lose probably at least one plate mid, so there is a bit of a cost to that play, and it is, despite how one-sided this game has felt, it's only a 600 gold lead for BLG, so not that bad for BFX. They are able to stay involved. They are able to keep it a lot closer than I thought it was going to be after how this game started. Over into the pit, Knight just starts it up with the Realm Warp. The arrow there, not actually able to connect from Viper, and he wasn't able to get the Chains of Corruptions down on anyone either. He was shooting for Diablo, but it felt like there was a bit of miscommunication because On was looking to combo Kellen.
In the meantime, though, we've got even more action as now On possibly in a little bit of trouble, but now Raptor finds himself among 3 people. The Cow even able to walk his way out as finally he will go down. Probably take that if you're BLG.
Yep, gonna be feeling good, and Knight just getting delaying till he wants to buy that. And it is going to be On out on the map, just using the Spellbook TP, looking to pressure up on top side, try to play for these grubs. He's been very active on the map. I honestly really am impressed with how he's playing this. Navigating this Nico matchup is not easy, and they are now going to try to look to set up a dive.
Well, let's see whether Clear can find the perfect ultimate here as he does throw it out, but it gets blocked, and down will go the Ambessa with no real issues there at all. On turns up and grabs himself the kill.
Yeah, I think you can't ask for much more there from Clear as far as the ultimate timing. And he both immuned the Counter-Strike as well as that combo coming in, so was able to immune a few little parts of CC, but there's just too much. No one was there to cover him. He doesn't have flash. There's not really much of a way to outplay. And Shun going to have to be pushed back here as we can see Kellen was up towards that top side helping him out.
Yep. only one grub did go over to BLG as well. We'll see whether BNK are going to be able to collect themselves one at the same time. As Vikla trying to get the shove out here as we don't get the snare onto Shun, but the wall comes through, gets the flash. Cease and desist though, delivers Raptor all the way in. That's a great shove. As there's the flash, Pop Blossom finding all three from Kellen, but Shun just gets out of there. The cow grabs another one, and BNK just cannot find anything despite the great setup.
Yeah, they just don't have any damage. That's a real problem, as Vikla wasn't able to actually get too much down onto Shun. On was blocking so much of that damage that was meant for Shun. Taliyah does not have good access through a target, right? All of your threaded volleys are just hitting the cow here. He's blocking up all that damage. And this flash from Shun is really, really nice because it pulls Raptor into a position where Raptor is always going to get knocked under the tower. There's the reposition. There's Knight getting that root. Even though the three-man Pop Blossom comes through, again, so much of the damage was getting blocked by On. They CC up Raptor under that tower, get even another kill, and are able to walk away with it. And now there's the Roa, there's the tier 2 boots for Knight, who is going to be scaling up incredibly quickly. And been up over 1K on the top side. I said it was about 600 gold, that they had been keeping it close. Now it's close to 3K, and we're going to have a call here cashing in pretty soon, I guess on both sides, so we can kind of ignore that.
I think there was a bit of an ebb and flow, and it's ebbed back towards BLG once again. As BNK, I mean, the thing is, they still have what we were talking about in draft, right? Which is a pretty straightforward composition that just kind of works. So we'll see whether they can get themselves together as we make our way through this mid-game, try and find some of these angles to get these team fights working. Kellen has been able to find some of these Pop Blossoms that have been working out, and if they can all work together, it could work real well.
Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be able to get that done. And really, it's just going to be this problem about how do you deal with the 1-3-1? You know, even if you have a team fight, BLG don't have to take any fights. They got the early dragon, so they don't need to really force their hand, right? They don't need to go for any sort of fight that doesn't feel like a good setup. It doesn't feel guaranteed. And now they have moved Viper over towards the mid lane. They have themselves set up in this 1-3-1. Bin is going to have Triforce on his next base, easy peasy. And it is going to become very problematic to answer both of these side lanes because they don't have anyone that can win either 1v1.
That was not exactly the most friendly Coinbase gold grind that we've seen for BNK, but Bin looking absolutely fantastic there towards the top side of the map, 1.2k ahead of his Ambassador opponent. Does finally have the Eclipse complete, and there isn't quite a Trinity Force just yet as he took a bit of a detour towards the Steel Caps. But we'll just have to see as Raptor now, once again, in a little bit of trouble as Knight is making his way over. Wherever Knight is, I imagine BNK do not want to be there because this guy is very, very scary, sitting at 3-1-4. As we've got them defending the Drake for now. Double Dragon, pretty important, as BLG will then have so much tempo control of this game.
Yeah, Vikla just trying to push in mid. They're trying to get control of that and then maybe move him down for a play because, of course, it would be hard for Viper to follow.
Yeah, in they go once again as Shun just decides he wants to get himself out of there. Diablo is a little bit scary, and so you could understand it. As Kellen towards his bottom side of the map. In goes Raptor once again, looking to clear out some vision, but down comes Viper as well. Chains of Corruption does come in. Vikla's turned up at the same time, but Raptor is already dead, and Bin now joins the fight. It's a good cleanse there from Diablo, and he tries to keep himself alive, but he is out of this one, not exactly healthy enough to help out, and that is just a dead jungler and an almost guaranteed dragon here for BLG.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the dragon. Bin trades the flash and the TP for the cleanse. They're going to go for a dive.
That is a big old Realm Warp as they get the Pop Blossom off onto one of them, but Shun is pretty happy to tank things up. That's a kill for Viper, one for Bin as well, as Clear is at least able to keep things interesting, but he'll be going down. It's a double for his opposite number, and an ace for BLG.
It's a 15-minute ace in a 5v5 under your own tower here. BLG are leaving no doubts in this game. Absolutely stomping FearX here in game number 1 at first stand. 5K is the lead. They didn't even bother taking the dragon. They just looked for a reset. Raptor was just way too far. I mean, they knew that Viper had been moving down from bot lane. No one can even step up here from BFX to try to help him, so he's gone way too far. The fight is already kind of screwed, and then Bin goes in, pushes Diablo out. They know now that's really the only threat, so they decide to go with the Realm Warp here. On goes in, tanks it up. He knocks Vikla back beautifully into the waiting arms of Knight and Bin, and on the other side, Diablo with no cleanse, with no ult, has no way to outplay, and they're able to get everything here on the delayed ace.
That was absolutely beautifully played from On. He got out of the Pop Blossom whilst also killing Vikla at the same time. So Kellen just didn't quite find the value that he was looking for underneath that turret. That Pop Blossom could have been devastating, but not to be the case. And now we're sitting at almost a 6,000 gold lead. We're heading towards blowout territory here in game number 1, as Raptor will be able to steal away a dragon. So there is at least that. Yeah, not too bad. No double dragon that I was talking about.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Maybe that's what they're playing for.
The objective bounties have fallen off now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a worrying sign. They definitely could use those.
I think as soon as we're talking about objective bounties, you're already worried. You know, the worrying sign hasn't begun. As we do have Shelly getting involved as well. She's going to get a headache, but it will be BLG taking down this outer turret in the mid lane, opening up the map completely. And BNK, what are we going to be able to do to find something? Well, we're just going to start more fights. That's going to be the plan. As let's see whether Raptor's going to be able to make this one work. Double Pop Blossom to come through from Kellen as he gets amongst it. But they're a little bit out of sync. And down will go the Nico. BLG just kind of weathering it.
Look at bot. No one is answering bin. They moved everyone there because BFX realized this game is already cooked. You can't just sit and look for regular plays and play side lanes. You're going to bleed out. So they send everyone to try to really hard force this play, but BLG are able to absorb it pretty easily. It does cause some flashes on Knight and Viper, so there is that. But this is Bin getting further and further ahead. That is Bin Jax 3K up at 18 minutes, which is definitely not a good thing if you're hoping for a close game.
Yep, I think if you're an LCK fan, you're probably putting that one in the cons column, as Clear will let him go home, and I think that is a very good idea.
The pros column, he hasn't done it to Keen.
Yeah, there we go. Keen also hasn't played yet, so...
Exactly. Keen's not behind any gold. Clear is, unfortunately.
Well, actually, no, Keen's technically on 0 gold right now.
Yeah, but he's not behind any gold.
Ah, wait. Yeah. No, true. Okay, there we are. So if you're an LCK fan, maybe just, don't worry about game 1. It's not about game 1.
Exactly.
You know?
It's a best of 5.
Yeah.
It's a new world. They're just getting adjusted.
If they do this 3 times in a row, you know,
then maybe
then we'll talk.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, we won't talk. We'll cry.
We don't want a 3-0.
We want
that is the main thing.
Close series.
Well, this is not going to be a close game. That is what we're looking at the moment. Unless BNK can make a miracle happen. And they have been a lot more tenacious this year than what we've seen of them in the past. We have to remember, they weren't at first stand last year because they were the very first team eliminated from the LCK Cup. And now they qualified second to actually make it here. Of course, last year there was only 1 seed, but this time they're our second best team coming out of the tournament. And that is a big turnaround.
It is a really big turnaround. I mean, their run has been very impressive. I think, you know, even that upset over T1, people are like, wow, that was crazy. But that's probably the end, though, right? That's all you're going to get. And they just kept going. They have gotten better and better and better. And it is so interesting to see new representation here. This is the first time we've seen a new mid laner from the LCK in forever, as Knight maybe going to get dove here.
Yeah, there's a cease and desist. Pop Blossom comes on down there as he is delivered into the open arms of Diablo. And Raptor manages to tank up the turret successfully. Kellen probably didn't want to take that last shot, but now the rest of BLG are closing in. They do have a man disadvantage, though. And Bin has teleported forward. Clear turns up as well. All 5 of BNK are in the mix, but On keep himself available with that ultimate. There's the public execution, and Shun is going to take down Raptor. They look to try and get one back, as now Shun, is he going to be able to survive? Oh my god, he is. As now Vikla dealing with Bin as best he can by dying. That's kind of the only option you really have here, is now Shun chasing down Kellen, and he's dead as well. Yes, you managed to kill Knight, but you didn't get anything else. This should be Baron for BLG.
Yeah, BFX were up a man, but down a Bin, and he's worth a lot more than 1 at this point. This guy TP's in with the role quest completed, with the massive shield to start off that fight, and he is just soloing 3 members in the backline. It's a fight that is dominated. It is a 20-minute Baron, and it is 21 kills for BLG before 21 minutes into the game. So let's watch this one more time. Obviously, Raptor is very low. It's going to be a tough fight. You've spent some big cooldowns on the early side, but look at Bin. Gets in on Diablo, forces out the cleanse, multi-man all, focuses down Raptor, and then he gets flicked back. He's like, great, I wanted to get closer to you. Q's forward, hits stun on both the carries, knocks down Diablo, takes out Vikla on the other side. Clear can do nothing as he is knocked down by Viper. BLG playing beautifully with a massive gold lead that they are working with here.
Yeah, you can see Clear is not super psyched about what's been going on in this game. I think a mental reset will be required after this one, as BLG, it's a bit of a victory lap that we're looking at here at the 21-minute mark, as BNK desperately trying to hold on to whatever structures they still can.
Yeah, they're going to try to hold on and keep fighting it out. I mean, that's all you really can do at this point. But, of course, that gets very, very difficult when you're looking at two incredibly fed solo laners who both just bought a Seekers after that fight, right?
Oh,
so
God.
now they have the playmaking tools here as well because they are so rich, so accelerated that if you're looking for Knight or Bin, they both have that stasis here at pre-22 minutes. There's a locket completed, Vipers on 3 full items. So everyone is very, very strong at this point, and Shun is working towards his GA. So it is going to be tough. I mean, BFX are going to need a massive engage plus a series of incredible mistakes from BLG to really have a chance in this one. We knew this was a possibility coming in. BFX obviously have a lot of players who don't have that international experience, maybe haven't had as much experience traveling and playing at these big events, and they are going up against a team that both has a ton of experience and is one of the very best teams in the world for that first series. So game one, we will give them a bit of a pass here, and we're hoping that they can kind of work into it as this series goes.
I would agree. And hopefully they are taking some notes, to quote a previous MSI. All right, BLG now in position. They haven't really broken open the base just yet. That is the one bit of good news. But the Rebel Baron power play is sitting at about 1,700. We're going to put that in the cons column. So Raptor is looking for a wraparound, though.
He is. I wanted to go back to this mid lane thing, but we have had 5 mid laners dominating the LCK for so long. Faker, Chovy, Showmaker, BDD, and Zeka. Those are the only mid laners that we've seen since 2019 until Vikla qualified here, which is very, very cool. Obviously a tough game one, but still, it's nice to see a new team, a new mid laner, new face kind of popping up here in the LCK and showing that they can actually mix it up with those legends who have been dominating that league for so long.
Yeah. Raptor just died. He was going for a little bit of a behind enemy lines type tactic. As it turns out, they had pretty good vision behind their enemy lines. So he's just going to go down and obviously looking for a Hail Mary. That sort of thing is what you're going to have to go towards as 10,000 gold the lead. I mean, they're going to need a miracle if they want to survive this one. BLG owns every part of the jungle, be it on BNK's side or on BLG's side. As On is going to get interrupted here momentarily, but I don't think he's too worried.
That's a win.
I mean, there's something. Seismic Shove does pull the cow back, does have Unbreakable Will, but does have to use it. So that's something.
His will is now breakable.
Yeah. Well, not yet. Now it's breakable.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's been a tough game for Raptor. I think, honestly, he played the early levels completely fine, but the game felt pretty tough to play very, very quickly. Vikla got really outplayed by Knight. Diablo lost Flash early bot lane. Top lane gets killed by an early gank. Tough for a jungler when both your solo laners are getting solo killed very early on in the game. And Clear's going to try to TP out.
Yep, and he is going to be able to make it out. So there he is, able to grab himself a turret as well as getting himself away. And that is going to mean the gold lead is now smaller than it was a minute ago. That we take those,
And
looking
they
for
might
positives.
steal a Gromp.
My goodness, surely not. Well, there it is. Okay, Diablo looking to try and do the same thing. There are still plates here towards this bottom side. And bounties on the map. I mean, there is money to be made here for BNK if they can get towards these structures. As, oh dear, Kellen is going to be very, very dead. As that is going to be Viper with a last auto attack. And that will be able to take down the Nico. Not very lucky, not able to escape. And so now, without that Pop Blossom available for the next 24 seconds, but obviously not very high level. So I look down, I'm like, it's quite late in the game, 25 minutes. But no, he's going to pop back up pretty immediately.
Yeah, death timer being 20 seconds is both very good and concerning at this point of the game.
Don't look at the little number next to the portrait.
Yeah, he is down a couple levels on the Alistar, and he is down 7 levels on the mid laner and 8 levels on the top laner.
I mean, the top laner makes sense, right? That's part of the quest.
They're cheating.
Yeah, absolutely cheating. And Knight's
and the
cheating
mid laner has a Roa. That's cheating too.
Yeah, so that's too much cheating. It's not your fault, Kellen. It's absolutely fine. The fact that you're 2 levels behind the Alistair, though, that we don't have very many excuses for that one, outside of the fact that
that one's on you, buddy. We tried our best.
yeah, and they're also having a really tough game at this point in time, as Diablo desperately trying to get to a minion wave to farm. And does manage to at least get rid of that one. Has his 3 items complete. So, I mean, in theory, this Kai'Sa can be scary. But in the context of this game, Probably not.
Well, and the big problem is, even though he is pretty relevant, no one else on his team is. So there's so many tools that BLG have, and they can just throw everything at Diablo, because as long as Diablo isn't hitting, you have no damage.
Well, Bin is going to look for clear here, as he does have the ultimate available. Changes position as they take down Viper. This could actually be a good start to this fight, as now Knight has been separated as well. It is Diablo going for something a little more aggressive than he probably should, and now the Realm Warp is going to deliver Bin to Vikla, but it's a great seismic shove to keep him alive. The Baron just spawning, though, as they lose their bottom lane, and BLG should be able to grab a second purple worm.
Nice attempt there for BFX. They are able to one-shot Viper, but then this is what I'm talking about. They're just going to spend all your resources on you. Right after that, after the Killer Instinct, On just flashes on his head, and then that goes straight into a Counter-Strike. You are CC'd 100-0, burst down. Not much Diablo can do unless you can somehow react to the Q flash that's coming in from On, which is almost impossible. And as a result, he dies, and as soon as Diablo's down, there's no hope left in the fight for them.
Yeah, let's have a look at it again.
Yeah, the angle is good. You know, BLG are looking for a fight, and BFX say, hey, we can actually find something here. Raptor, Q flash, they one-shot him, but then watch this. As Diablo, I think he cleansed nothing, but does get Q flash. Really nice setup there from On. Knocks him right into the waiting arms of Bin, into that Counter-Strike. And then they get that kill, and we know they are back getting the Baron here on live. So BLG taking another team fight win. Just not a lot that BFX can do from this far down, even with a good initial pick like Raptor found.
Yeah, and even though the Rebel Baron power play not exactly looking fantastic at this point in time, because I think some bounties were able to be taken, a couple of plates here or there for B&K, and so they have closed the gap actually, just a little. But I think with these 2 minutes that they have still for this Baron, they should be able to take down some of these structures. Look at that crystalline overgrowth, man. Oh my goodness. There it is. Boom. And more plate money over to BLG, and they'll be able to start creating a bit of an advantage from this buff. As Diablo off to the side, we're going to try and take down some of these. We do have a bit of a collapse onto Shun. Vault Breaker comes down. There is the Weaver's Wall as well to block off the reinforcements, and the GA was popped. Down goes Shun. There is at least another one, but the Counter-Strike onto 2 from Bin. He makes his way into the back line, and pop goes Diablo. Man, he presses W, and people die. That is just what it looks like here as Knight teleports his way in. There is a reposition from Clear to try and keep them busy, but he is now just going to try and go for a bit of an escape here, and I don't know whether it's quite going to work, because now Bin just needs a couple more cooldowns, and Clear will just be dead. Yeah,
that is a level 18 Jax. That Leap Strike is a short cooldown, buddy.
At least he's level 18 and not level 20, because that would be worse. As all right, BLG going to break open the base here, and I think this might be the end of the game. 11,000 gold the lead, and just a couple of Nexus turrets to get BLG towards a 1-0 start in this best of 5. Pop Blossom only onto 1. That is not exactly what you want, as now Raptor just desperately trying to deal with the minions. But there are 2 cannons taking down these Nexus turrets, and down will go the Nexus here in game number 1. Utter dominance from BLG, as they will go 1-up in the series.
Damn, 29 kills in 29 minutes here. I thought we were going to be in for a pretty competitive series, but BLG, if they're going to have their way, it's not going to be that.
No, that was swift destruction here of B&K, a team that hasn't had a lot of international experience. You can understand why they would not exactly be feeling the most comfortable, but I'm going to give them 1 game, right? Yep. And if it doesn't work in game number 2, that's when we're going to start worrying. Let's throw it over to the analyst desk to see whether they're worried about B&K Furex.
Yeah, I feel like Ox's prediction didn't age well, but before it comes back to us on the desk, I actually want to check in with the Furex fan club here. My dear, what happened?
I don't know, honestly, but I think they will get better, just to give a chance.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about maybe having nerves. It's the first time they're playing. Do you still believe?
Yeah, honestly, I think they're gonna have a sweep.
All right, reverse sweep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ox's prediction is still on. Thank you so much here. I guess, I mean, we have to believe, right, after something like this, that is not the start that a team like this would want on their first time playing internationally, Ox. So before, I love that grim that you're making, but I want to ask you first things first. Even before the game started, you said, that's cooked. BLG is going to win. So talk me through your thought process here. Why did you think they were going to win?
I think the fact that they were able to get the Ryze first pick, like all the other mid laners being nerfed, Ryze untouched, and BLG prioritized that, got that. We saw what happened in that matchup, but also B&K Furex went for the Ambessa. You know, despite having second pick, they picked that early and gave Bin counter pick. And I feel like the solo lanes, the matchups just fell apart. And going in the rest of the series, they need to prioritize those matchups.
Yeah, it was dominant. It was actually something that we talked about at the very beginning, which is like, oh, the experience gap is there. What will that actually look like? They did not, especially Clear, does not look like what we saw from him domestically. And a lot of it was like, okay, you see Jarvan literally pathing straight through mid, being pushed off bot scuttle, going topside. You know he's there. Why are we TPing on the wave? Like, those are mistakes that we didn't expect at all. And even though I can't see it, you guys out there can visualize it. Mid lane getting throttled, top lane the same way. It was like, literally at level 1, a gap was formulated.
I was about to say, the year of Vikla, not for now. Ox, what the hell was that first blood? We call them oopsies here.
You know,
Stage jitters, maybe.
It was a little bit unfortunate. It was a little unfortunate. The auto attack on the Raptors, problematic. That really shouldn't be happening. I definitely think it's nerves. You know, we talked about how 80% of this roster hasn't played in an international yet. Very clear in showing that just some real struggles on this stage so far. I think also top lane was really unfortunate with how things have played out because Clear, there's just nothing you can do. You know, he's pinging for assistance. He's like, okay, if the jungler stays, I'm doomed. If the jungler doesn't stay, you know, great, but you can't, you have to kind of risk it. You have to try and break the freeze, otherwise you're just in a terrible spot.
And you see the goal difference at 8 minutes of the game. And that was like a tough position that you're in. As I mentioned already, Clear even TPing back onto that minion on the wave when you know J4 is there. Shun is just gonna chill. Those are unforced errors that you don't expect from players like these. But on our first international experience, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and we know how overpowered, I heard the fans, I know what they think, how overpowered Ryze can be. Being on Jax, that is deadly.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when you want to have a composition that can be able to dive, because guys, this comp, they're going to dive you back.
Yeah, and this play in particular, Raptor had a bad time in this game, and he gets caught out here, and I think BLG in this situation, it looks like BNK like, okay, you know, we lost Raptor, it's fine, we back away. And BLG like, no, we're going to take a little bit more, well more underneath this dive, and I think this is the point where the game is over, just mentally as well. I feel like it's just so hard to come back from this point. Clear tries to make something from it, gets a kill, but they were just so in the hole at this point.
Yeah.
And so, like, we didn't really get to hear from the BLG fans, as you can see from post-game breakdown.
Oh, they were happy. I heard them.
Very happy. All right, do you feel vilified? Like, how do you feel?
Yeah, I told you guys that it's gonna be like this game. They can't like walk in there. All haters.
There are haters on the other side.
The only place that BFX gonna be in some days it's gonna be Guarulhos in the airport going back to home because we're gonna win this.
That's a BLG fan through and through. That's a BLG fan.
I love the confidence and I love the strong words. So, okay, coming from the BLG fans and you, Raz, who was the player of the game this one?
For me, it was Knight.
Okay.
And it was just straight from level 1. And if you ever see a stomp that's happening that early on, I know there were some like questions on Vikla coming into this tournament. Vikla answered a lot of questions when he was in LCK. Solo killing Faker, Chovy, who else? Who else did he solo kill?
Showmaker.
Showmaker. That one maybe not as convincing. But like at the end of the day, we were starting to change our viewpoint on Vikla. He cannot have performances like this if Fear-X wants to be a real player in this tournament.
What are we looking at here? Because, of course, Fearless draft means that we're going to have completely different drafts here and different approaches. So what would you keep? Was the approach wrong or was it the execution? What are we looking at here?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
I think, you know, game 1, clearly a lot of nerves. This was not them at their best, not even like their 10th best game, not even close, right?
Nerves.
I think you come out of this, there's so many, problems.
The food is bad.
You just go on a game 1, you go, guys, forget about it, right? It can't get any worse, okay? You just got to go on a game 2 with a fresh mindset. There we go. There we go.
That sounds like a challenge.
No, but you know them. You've seen them. What are we looking at here? Who's the hope? What's the hope?
I mean, bot lane is still always the hope. I hope Raptor has a better game. It felt like he was struggling to find impact and was trying a bit too hard. But bot lane and jungle has been the center point. I think solo lanes just need to stabilize. You don't need to win against Bin Knight. You're not going to win against Bin Knight, but just have them on stable picks, play through bot.
Funny thing is, they're like, oh, Ryze won't be an issue. Now that it's gone, well, you still have Knight's Ahri, his Aurora. There's still a lot of League of Legends to play here.
No game 1 Andes. That's what I hear so far. BLG takes game 1. Let's see if Fear-X can come back here in game 2.
On that last minion, that's kind of crazy.
He's just getting full zoned, and Knight is...
And there is vision here as well, so Knight might just be able to solo kill him. The Raptors getting involved, and there is first blood for Knight. There's the flash from Bin, had that advantage. Is now, let's see whether Clear can get himself out of the way. The answer is probably not, as there's the bonk, and Bin picks it up with an empower. But there are 2 cannons taking down these Nexus turrets, and down will go the Nexus here in game number 1. Utter dominance from BLG.
Things have gone wrong, and they definitely went wrong often and early for BFX, so want to see if they can just get something as comfort gets. If I'm the coach for BFX, I'm giving you your most comfortable champion. I almost don't even care what it is, and I'm saying, you know what? Go out there, let's just have a more stable early game, and let's just ease into it, because that was a really rough start. But the reality is there's a lot of games left to play. It is a best of 5, and even if you lose here, there's still a lot more best of 5s to come after it. So you really want the players to get acclimated, to get comfortable, and I think that should be their focus. Comfort, comfort, comfort after a game like that, because it couldn't have gone worse.
Yeah, and you know what? There are certainly some positives, because it's Fearless Draft. They're not going to get beaten by Knight's Rise ever again in this series. Not ever.
That is true.
Not one more. It's impossible.
In the history of this series.
In the history of this series, no more rising will happen. Apart from like
news, though.
Getting out of your chair and that sort of rising. That
They
will
might get beat even worse by something else.
Don't say that.
That could be.
I was on a positive run. It was working.
You were being an angel on the shoulder, so I had to be the devil. You know, we got to balance each other out here,
We're
Max.
just a conscience here. That's what we are here on the caster desk, and I like it. All right, some weird bans come through from BNK to start this one off. As Nautilus, Na, and the Xin Zhao all taken away. Xin was banned in the last game, but the other 2 feeling a little bit new. As we do have the Orianna and the Rumble taken away so far, the Azir has slipped through that the Ashe is going to be the ban. I actually quite like that. I think defaulting back to an Ashe Seraphine to say, well, we're going to win a lane is a good way to kind of bounce back.
Yeah.
But we do have BNK going for their first pick here, and it will be the Karma
Ezreal Karma
away.
It would be my guess, unless BLG want to actually take it away. But Karma, obviously, such a strong pairing there. You know, we could just see Corki Nami or something like that as an answer, but taking away the Ezreal, obviously quite strong too.
Yep.
They're at least considering it. We'll see if that is going to be the case.
I do think that Siva Karma is still very strong,
It is,
and Jarvan has been played already, so that's fearlessly banned. And so picking Siva blind without seeing the jungler isn't quite as punishing. So this feels
And
like a pick
Alistar is
away, but
gone.
it may not necessarily work. And Alistar being gone is certainly
And
good too.
those are both tough matchups there for Mrs. Sivir, as she does not have a good time there. So Pantheon Ezreal, strong first 2 here for BLG, I have got to say, especially with a little bit of focus on the jungle pool. This is one of those really high prio AD junglers that is going to pair well with pretty much anything that Knight and Bin would want to play.
Yep. And has more global as well, which can be very, very powerful.
Renekton makes a lot of sense with the Narban.
Yeah, saw the Narban, you were thinking it's probably going to be a Renekton angle. And let's see whether it is going to be a Siva lock-in alongside it, or whether it's going to be something else, perhaps for the jungle or for Vikla, depending on what we do see here.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
We'll see where BFX wants to go, and I'm also going to be interested to see what Bin's answer is. I always feel like you can just go Sion. Wow, Jinx. Okay, this is actually really interesting. So this should give him a lot of prio. It's a ton of wave clear here with Fishbones plus the Mantra Qs. You know, you have all this poke. You have the ability to kind of push in. What they are really lacking, obviously, is hard engage. So BLG, I think, can go for an answer and support if they want here, or they can answer, you know, top lane. And then I think they really should be banning out good engage options for BFX, because I think that is clearly what BFX is lacking right now, as they do need an engaged jungler. Very likely Sion, I love as an answer, you know, up on that top side, like I was saying. I think this is a really good matchup for Sion. Even though you lose prio early, I rarely see Renektons be able to slam home enough of an advantage that feels like it's really been worthwhile. And we'll see if Clear is able to create enough of an edge and get enough done with this Renekton that it is going to feel better than Bin here on this Sion.
And it also might be quite difficult to play this Jinx prior to getting excited and trying to deal with this Sion in your face. Obviously, you can cut through tanks relatively well as this champion, but it is still a little bit of a scary thought in team fights later on.
Trundle, I was going to say, is an obvious one when you are playing Sion. You do kind of need to ban that out. But I'd also be thinking about, if I'm BLG, things like, you know, Malphite potentially. Anything that is, you know, a good go button from the jungle feels like something you would want to target, because I do think that is kind of what they're lacking. Instead, it is going to be a little bit of both. Obviously, it is a little bit of pseudo engage here, but also safety there for Vikla. And it is going to mean now Vikla very likely is the one that is going to be picking blind here. And that is going to be tough after you just got completely stomped in game 1.
Yeah.
Giving Knight counterpick here in game 2 with a couple of mid laners taken away is going to be that much harder because Ori is gone, Azir is gone. This would be spicy here from On.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great options for him to go towards, and honestly, could work. And Ezreal Nami, this is what I was thinking. I was like, the last enchanter you really have to try and go double ranged in this lane is kind of Nami, but Nami Ezreal feels odd. They're still going to lock it in, and let's see how it's going to work.
I will say, you know, it's less of a common pairing. Obviously, we see a lot more Nami with Lucian and with Corki and those kind of lanes. But it's a lot of poke, it's a lot of sustain, and it's really going to come down to, you know, just how many skill shots can you hit as Ezreal. That's basically all these lanes do come down to. My question is, can BLG actually contest the push in the 2v2 bot? Because I feel like Jinx Karma has so much pushing power that I think we're going to have to see Viper and On kind of playing past the wave and trying to deny them access to it. And if Fury as an option here is pretty exciting.
This is a big favorite.
You can
Raptors.
throw yourself into the back line, but...
Yeah, he loves this one. There is an Annie for Vikla as well. And this is a champion that even on previous patches has been really rising to the forefront. But we've seen nerfs on a lot of the more common mid laners. And so Annie has been coming out even more recently.
And they just need a go button, right? They were really lacking that. So
Flash
now
Bear.
Exactly. Flash Bear. And when you go for the Inferi, you need something that is going to pair well with it in the mid lane. It's an AD jungler. You now have your essential dive squad there. You shield them up. You send them in. It is going to be Aurora as the option here for Knight. Knight is an absolutely terrifying Aurora. And when you are playing dive, you have 4 champions here, well, 3 really, that are going to get really close, but you have a lot of champions that are going to be flying in, and the counter engage from Aurora can be terrifying. Not in that she has some amazing CC, but in that she's going to counter engage by killing your whole
it's
team.
really amazing CC. You have CC for like so incredibly long, like 30 seconds at a time. It's crazy, man.
And you're going to be trying to go through the Pantheon, the Scion, the Nami wave, and really the prime target is the Ezreal, right? But the Ezreal is going to be very difficult to get to, I think, for BFX. So that is kind of my question: is can they actually, you know, get past these carries to burst down Knight or burst down Viper? Because if not, I think they will really struggle in a front to back trying to get through this Scion. So it's going to be interesting to see how BFX plays it out.
Yeah, I'm going to be focused on how the lanes are going to go early on in the game, though, because we're sort of analyzing how team fights might go in an even game state later on. I'm hoping that we can get to an even game state later on because B&K weren't able to quite get that one over the line in game number 1. So let's just cross that bridge first, and then we'll get to the next one, you know, where we need to worry about how you possibly
There's
kill
a lot
Ezreal.
of scary bridges that you have to cross to beat BLG.
a lot of bridges, you know, like, I mean, we're in Brazil, there's a lot of rivers, you know, all over the place.
There's
so you just,
with spikes and snakes and stuff you got to get across to be able to beat BLG.
I can't believe they haven't spoken to me about it yet, because I know a lot lot about snakes. I could have been there, but...
And spiders that are as big as dinner plates.
Yeah, those guys. They're really great. Let's get on the Rift here, though. Here for game number 2. And B&K, they've shaken their sillies out. That's what we went with in game number 1. They shook their sillies out, and now they're all gone, and we're ready to have a competitive game of League of Legends.
They shook them out. BLG had no sillies to shake, though.
No, they didn't.
They were locked in.
They were very still.
They
very
were
still
super
after
locked
that game.
in.
I obviously shook them out earlier, and so that is certainly good news. Let's see whether Vikla is going to have a better time here.
Well, he can't have a worse time, so I think it will be going better. But he is going to be critical to their success because Vikla had been having a really good run in the LCK. I know game 1 is not representative of how he has been playing at all. He has been on a bit of a tear. He's been getting, you know, solo kill after solo kill against some of the very top players in the LCK. He was able to take out Faker and Showmaker and Chovy and, you know, getting solo kills on all these huge household names. That has been a core part of why they have been doing so well. It's not just Diablo and Raptor. Vikla has really been stepping up. Kellen, I think the meta has been fitting him very well with the Enchanter meta.
Would agree.
And this whole package is a big part of why BFX have looked so good. So they really do need to get him up and running because they can't do it without him, not against a team like BLG.
Yep, I think it's very cool for Vikla, though, to be back on an Annie. This is a champion that he was actually playing a lot because he was a utility player in the mid lane. Like, this is what he sort of began as, sort of accepted that he wasn't one of the superstars. And he has since, you know, been picking up Yone and solo killing Faker, picking up Akali, solo killing Chovy.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for a wraparound gank there.
I was expecting something like that.
Oh, he's going to try to cheese Shun. He's going to try to cheese Shun maybe at the red, I think. Oh, this is sneaky.
He spotted it out. Shun is playing very defensively, though, around his Raptor camp. But Raptor knows Raptors, okay? He's very aware of that. Does find the first dagger here, though, as Shun is just going to get sent out of his own jungle. I don't think the Pantheon is really going to be able to fight this Nefiri here, so he is just going to be backing away.
But he doesn't have bot lane prio, so I don't think that Raptor can actually do anything with this. This feels like very dangerous to me, but Shun is going to eventually give it up. Honest is going to harass him, and Shun, wow. I mean, Raptor just had so much respect to that. He thought that Shun was there, and Shun has already backed off, so On going to be able to make this reset. And
well, Vicla's coming down as well. Flash out from On. Knew that he wasn't able to actually stay over there. Knew that the mid laner was coming down, so BNK just brought their friends. And that is going to be able to get it, as Raptor is able to take down this crab as well. This little doggo is going to be able to help get rid of the rest of it. And so ultimately, in the end, working out quite nicely. Vikla also having a good time in this mid lane this time around, as Knight looking a little worse for wear.
Yeah, and it could be even double scuttle here for Raptor. Will be, so he's going to go straight towards it. So he doesn't get the red, doesn't actually steal away any camps from his opponent directly, but does delay him, does force the flash of On, and is able to double scuttle. And now this is a really dangerous TP from Knight.
That is a very aggressive teleport, as Knight trying to get himself out of there, but he gets stunned up immediately. Shun in the area, though, so Raptor going to have to get himself out, as Vikla also looking worse for wear. So BNK not able to grab themselves a first blood. But Knight teleports back and immediately is exceptionally low. Vikla still with his TP available. As, okay, Raptor and Shun still trying to fight this one out. We do have a charged up Q that is going to connect. But On turning up first is going to mean that things should be all right here for Shun, and stealing away Raptor's Raptors. This is always a problematic scenario. As Kellen looking to take On for a walk. Does manage to do so here as some of these daggers are connecting, and it looks like the big Raptor will go over to Raptor this time. As, wow, anything you can do, I can do better, says Vikla, as he's immediately put into the bubble. The Molten Shield working out quite nicely, and Shun flashes away to keep himself alive, and there is first blood over to Knight. Flashes out of the way, the sickest fadeaway you will see, and another one. Knight versus Vikla for first blood.
The risky TP is on the other foot.
Why would we do that? We just punished the other guy for doing that.
He's like, oh, what a dummy. Did you see that TP from Knight? As he's TPing in on a minion.
Oh, no.
Oh, Vikla, my boy. He gets taken down, and no one goes down from BLG. We literally just saw this happen the other way, where Knight got punished, but this time they are a lot stronger. They have bot. On is in the area as well. And look at Knight's confidence here, going forward through the tower, gets the kill, flashes out, has the reset, and another first blood there for Knight. This one not going to be a solo kill or anything. You know, mid lane is not as much of a disaster by any means. BFX definitely more competitive, but they had it in such a good spot. Yeah. It's just kind of a freebie that they had given over. And these pro players, man, they love their risky TPs. We saw it really punish Clear last game. Then we saw it both punish Knight, and now Vikla even more so this game. You can just TP to the tower, I promise.
I was thinking that maybe towers were now deactivated. That's why maybe I missed the patch note. You can only teleport to minions in very scary positions with enemy teammates all over the place. I think that's maybe a change that must have happened.
They should try that one with his ear. Maybe that'll get him. The large rod isn't working, so.
All right, well, there's level 6. Bear comes down, but there is Between Worlds already. Shun turns up, and Vikla dead once again. Knight sitting at 2-0 to start this one off.
Yeah, that is tough. The Bear came down, but so did the jacked man with the spear. And turns out he is more of a help than the teddy bear, so going to be another kill here for Knight. And let me tell you, Knight Aurora is incredible to behold. You do not want this guy getting fed. This champion from ahead, all of a sudden the basic abilities kind of just one-shot you, and then you're off to Reset City, which is not a place that BFX want to see him go. That being said, at least Diablo is, out to a little early gold lead here. They have been able to, keep the push for Jinx for the most part, which is kind of what you expected. Topside, though, this is kind of where I really get concerned about these types of matchups. Is Bin is just going to all back to the lane. It's a couple under gold lead, but it just always feels like you need to be so much more ahead for it to really be worthwhile as the Renekton, because the Sion just naturally gets so tanky, and it is double physical damage topside. You also have Annie, who is not going to be really helping killing out the Sion, right? Like, there's not a realistic fight where Annie is focusing
it's all Diablo. If Diablo cannot kill Bin, this is a wash.
Exactly, and the problem is he's going to be stacking infinite armor because he's not laning against a Rumble where he has to actually respect that. He's just, from the word go, going to only stack armor the entire game, and that is going to make it really, really difficult for Diablo because then you're looking at, okay, well, you at least need LDR, you need IE, you're looking pretty late in the game already for when you're going to be able to deal with this guy. So we'll see if BFX can kind of fight around him and solve the Knight problem, which is going to be an issue here in Game 2.
Yeah, first Dragon should be going over to BNK, though. It looks like BLG not wanting to try to contest this at all. That will be taken. So a Hextech Dragon to be going down first. Second up will be an Ocean. Then we'll see what the Soul is going to be. Whether that's going to be relevant at all is going to be a question mark because BLG already off to a pretty good start, and the Dragons were not exactly talk of the town in game number 1.
This went much closer, though, than last time. Last time, it honestly felt the game was over by 5 minutes. And, and not even exaggerating, you know. It was very, very tough. The gold went up and down a little bit, but let's be real. That last game was not close whatsoever. Yes, Knight is out to a very good early lead, but BFX is going to have real chances in this game. The problem for me is just you are playing a hard engage comp against 2 very shifty carries, right? You are trying to take down Aurora, who can go invisible, who can go between worlds and hop away. Ezreal, who is playing barrier and obviously has a lot of mobility built in. That, I think, is the real challenge for BFX, is can they really be picture perfect with their engages and delete one of those carries? And if they can, I think they have a real shot.
Well, 2 grubs do go over to BNK as Raptor smites away that one, and also, never mind. So it is going to be 2 for 1. Shun comes on over and gets himself the final smite. So BLG with one of their grubs. I think, like you say, definitely not as end of the world as we saw in game number 1 yet. And I do like the composition here for BNK. I think that Jinx is a great win condition later on in the game, and right now Diablo is doing just fine in this lane.
Yep.
It's just whether or not, you know, Bin is going to get too big, and if Diablo looks at Knight the wrong way, he may just die.
He will get one shot, yeah. So that is always a problem, but you know, clearly the comp is built around you go in, you one-shot one of these BLG carries, you get Jinx the reset, and then Jinx carries the rest of the fight. Is on. Barely survived there. Did still have the flash, but the heal was expended. And so they want to get strong enough that they have enough damage to really get that first kill, get that first reset. And we'll see if they are going to be able to do that, because Diablo, once he gets going, it really is a thing of beauty to watch this guy play. He likes to play so aggressive.
Well, Knight in a little bit of trouble here in this mid lane. Will be looking to go back home by the looks of things. I think was due a reset. Does have the Merc Treads as well, just to make sure that these stuns from the Annie are not going to be too much of an issue, as Tibbers does manage to bounce back to Vikla. Good bear care there that we do very much like to see. In the LCK, there's some notoriety for some of our players that aren't able to look after their maidens very well on Yorick. A very similar thing
They're
here
on the PETA watch list.
Oh yeah, no, it really bothers me. But Vikla, they're able to keep Tibbers safe, at least for a moment.
I mean, Yorick's got to take care of the maiden.
I know.
That's his wife, right?
Exactly. It's like, come on, man.
Come on, man. Get it together.
Well, thankfully, Yorick not in this game, so no need to worry about that one for now, as we're looking to see whether this next dragon is going to be the port of call. You know, maybe it's going to be something else. But right now, the game has calmed down in a good way, because last time around, it was all action because BLG never stopped killing BNK players.
That's true.
And so if we do want a more even game, then we're going to look for a little bit more inaction. As now Raptor fighting against Knight here. Super Mega Death Rocket actually going to connect the Aurora from downtown. But not really going to be finding too much more, as there's a flash over the wall from Shun, and does eventually find that stun there. Between worlds they go, as now Vikla able to flash his way up, and my god, the damage from Knight already looking absolutely absurd. And with no flash to contend with out of Vikla here either, I mean, Knight is going to be able to farm these plates in this mid lane.
Yeah, you got to be careful too, because when QE comes back up, he could flash and farm the champions as well. That is a risky recall.
Well, there is another fight here brewing towards his bottom side. Is now Viper in a lot of trouble. That is Callan locking down that killer. Shun turns up, and finally Diablo gets one at the same time. Callan able to make his way out of 2 for 1 in the bottom lane. And these two were the best duo killers that we had in the LCK, and they are demonstrating it here on the world stage.
Yeah, that is really nice. Vikla still hasn't based. He is just bleeding out minions and tower plates here. Let's watch this one more time down on the bot side. We kind of only saw the very end of it. Oh, that is a super aggressive shift here from Viper. Gets caught by the tether there as Kellen flashed forward early. They focus him down. Then look at Diablo. He's kiting into the tower because he has to kite away from the stun from Shun to be able to finish off that kill. Beautiful kiting from him, recognizing how he was going to be able to win out in that spot. And he had his early Hexopix C44, so you get that extended range, that bonus damage
as well.
Exactly. You get that max damage now at only 500 range, so it's really easy to actually hit that and get that bonus damage, especially when you're in rocket form. As going to take a little bit of damage. Nice sidestep there.
Yep, not going to get bubbled, but is otherwise in a little bit of an issue here as far as the 2v1 is concerned. The rest of BNK are moving down, though, as we check in on this top lane. Clear just between turrets as On could be in a little bit of trouble. Was taken for a walk momentarily, but Kellen not going to be able to find too much more alone, and it looks like BNK, they just want to turn their sights towards the Dragons, and yes, we do. I mean, this one is exceptionally close. BNK right now with a slight lead, but as I say that, BLG ticks up to join them, so this is some League of Legends that we have here. It was the weird one in game one, but now we have a real game on our hands.
I mean, Knight is still dominating mid lane. Vikla is in some trouble, but Diablo is up 1.3k. That is your Jinx, getting really fed early on. You've got 2 early Dragons. It is going to be Chemtech, which is a bit unfortunate, but they do have a number of shields, so it makes it a little bit more powerful, obviously, you know, with the Karma, with the Annie. And at the end of the day, a soul is still a soul. It is still a lot of extra power that they can work towards. And BLG are just trying to get online to where they feel comfortable fighting for this. So I love that BFX have really pushed the pace, took the early Dragon, got right back to it on spawn, because you know Ezra wants to get to a couple items. They want to get really rolling here before they show up and start team fighting. Whereas a lot of these champions over on BFX side, I feel like are good to go on one item. You know, like they are ready to scrap.
Yeah, especially like the Annie and the Renekton, for example. They are feeling very, very good at that moment. We also have first item completions for the junglers at the same time. And this is where Raptor really does start to take over on this Nefiri. I think Pyoshik, another one of our Nefiri players, but him and Raptor really were leading the charge as far as this champion was concerned. Often picked into Vi because you can just sort of ignore her ultimate most of the time. But we've got another fight brewing here as Knight just doesn't want any part of it. And he just gets away with the ulti.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit crazy, I feel like, to be a very good Nefiri player. As, you really have to play on that knife's edge. And Vikla down 2 levels.
Yeah, Bin is going to turn up. There is the Grand Starfall as well from Shun, and Vikla, I think, is dead. As he's just going to get fully charged up on that Q, and down he will go. Pantheon grabs another one, and Vikla sitting at 0-3-0. This is not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the fact that it's the year of Vikla, but it's not looking like the year of Vikla here.
No.
It's the wrong hemisphere, perhaps. Something like that. I don't know.
Exactly. It's a time change thing. It hasn't
must
yet
be
ticked over to the year.
It's something like that. Clear, though, not looking like he's too worried about it. It's just going to eat the fish. And down will go on. Bin is still alive, though, and has that big old shield as he turns up. And I think they're going to have to sacrifice more than just Raptor here, as Clear is likely to be going down. And Viper is able to help Knight get a double here on this top side of the map. You mentioned how scary his Aurora is. Well, his Aurora has all of the money.
Yeah, and likely going to go in towards a Shadow Flame second, I think even. He is going full burst here. Obviously, you need the Merc Treads because there's a lot of CC on the other side. Point and click with the Annie as well as the follow from the Renekton, so you need that. But this is going to be incredible burst. Already 8 stacks on the Dark Seal as well, as they do look for this dive. And great, you killed off the Nami, but who cares? I mean, it's just the Nami, so we're going to full send it on Nami with Flash, with ult, with everything. Viper is hitting the whole time. Bin TP's in. Who's ever going to deal with Bin in this situation? And the carries are just so shifty, so it's very difficult. If you don't kill Viper and Knight off, it's got to be one of those at the start of the fight, or I just feel like you'll never win. Like, there's just no way. On cannot be the prime target.
And here is the Coinbase gold grind, and it doesn't look great for Vikla here. Knight feeling very, very good about the amount of money that he's put together, close to a 3,000 gold lead, which is kind of absurd.
It's a 1%er over there.
Oh, man. It's just how it goes.
Vikla's just a common man trying to get by, trying to pay his bills.
Yeah.
The Knight is like, I think I will buy a 3rd Ferrari this game.
Yeah, I'd say that I think common man, but down on his luck.
He's down on his luck,
is Vikla here today.
Rent just got raised.
He used to have money. Like back in the LCK, he was putting wins together. Maybe not necessarily in the final of the LCK Cup, but before that, things were looking fantastic. And, you know, sometimes it just comes and goes, you know? Ebbs and flows, as Nami would say. That's all right. We do have the 2v2 moving over towards this mid lane, as Diablo should be feeling pretty happy as far as the range is concerned, but if Viper is good at hitting these Mystic shots, which in this moment, not necessarily working out, BLG should be all right.
Yeah, I mean, the bot lane is the hope right now, as Kellen.
Yeah, Tidal Wave does come on through, gets the flash out from this Karma.
But again, it's getting, you just don't want to get back into that dangerous spot like last game where it's like, oh, Kai'Sa's on 3 items, great. Yeah, but if your AD carry is the only threat, all pressure will be thrown on that AD carry, and then it's very hard to fight, right?
Yeah.
You know, it becomes quite difficult, and you can see quite a lot of armor already has been purchased up here by Bin. I'm surprised that he actually went in for the Negatron, relatively early on. And he doesn't have Tabby, so he's maybe not quite as tanky as he could be, but still, it's going to be very tough to crack. And Raptor just trying to zone them back, get more gold here for Diablo.
Yeah, man,
this really is their hope.
This turret could just be dead, as Diablo is just putting so many bullets in it. Finally, Shun is going to come on forward, and the bubble connects, and Diablo really wanted to kill that turret, does manage to get it from the grave, as in comes the train, Bin to lock down. Raptor here goes untargetable for a few moments and tries to keep himself alive. True Shot Barrage, not enough, but the spear will do it. And BLG, yeah, that was a pretty good answer.
Yeah, I mean, Diablo, we talked a lot about the positives, right? About how good he is at playing on the knife edge. Sometimes he stabs himself with the knife, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that felt like a bit of an unforced one where, I mean, he's standing in the face of the Pantheon to knock down the turret. He did end up getting it, but he dies for it. Your mid lane turret dies for it. You are going to lose quite a bit. At the very least, they did get a tower back on top side as well, as Bin did move and cleared stayed top. BLG will get a dragon though, so they're going to stop that soul stacking. Raptor died, and it is nearly a 3K gold lead now here for BLG, fully in control once again. And you just look at mid jungle, and that is a problem because you are getting into that territory where it's really just Diablo against the world.
It is. There's the flash forward here from Vikla, but Knight manages to get himself out of the way with a flash of his own, and underneath their turret they go. So looks like it is just going to be this Drake going down, as Kellen is once again getting a little bit frustrating. There's a Crocodile following here, as on down to about 0 mana, but Shun is going to turn up as well as Knight teleports back in, and I don't think they really want to be fighting this Aurora unless she's going to miss some abilities. And it looks like now, yeah, B&K just going to leave.
Yep, and there is the Shadow Flame complete now, so Knight's burst going to ramp up a ton. I think Kellen was just hoping that they could actually stop the base from Knight, but they're going to go for a dive.
Yeah, they're going to look to try and take down this turret first as Knight goes between the worlds and tries to escape. He should be able to, oh, never mind. Taken out here as it's a kill for Raptor after taking down the turret at the same time. Bin forced to flash away, but Ingo's clear, looking for an opportunity. Slice and dice and manages to pick up Shun, as now Bin not long for the world. The bubble doesn't connect, as Bin takes a bit of killing, but he'll go down in the end, and there is the B&K that we wanted to see from the LCK Cup as they win themselves a fight in the bottom lane.
Nicely done. I mean, they just hard force there on the dive, and on is going to be okay. But mid lane, Viper has just been pushing the entire time. Viper's trying to get some gold back. When you see Viper mid, though, for B&K, there's just no reason to ever stop, right? You're just going to keep going. They got the early kill onto Knight. Once Knight is down, I mean, sure, Bin arrives, Shun is there, On is there, but there's no DPS because Viper is not there and Knight is dead. So they can kind of just continue this push forever, even though Knight had TP back. Look at the tower, and look how much Crystal is stacked up. So they can kind of just burst down the tower. They go in onto Knight. They CC him up. Looks for a second like he might get out, but he does end up falling. The tower is knocked down in a hurry. Bin arrives, great, but there's no damage behind you, so he knows eventually he's going to go down. He tries to run away, but it's his flash, it's his TP. It's the TP and flash off of Knight. It's the flash off of Shun. It's a ton of kills for BFX, and it is the gold lead. Basically dead even at this point. It is really going to be all about Diablo versus Knight.
Well, we've got Raptor going in, looking for a kill onto On. He is going to get taken down as Raptor is so deep behind enemy lines, and he just goes untargetable, floats his way out of there, and that is a free one. And the Rift Herald just did absolutely nothing. Shelly just hanging out in that mid lane, had nothing to charge into, and so just the timing on that fight so bad for BLG as Between Worlds Knight goes once again, but this time he is in a whole lot of trouble. Tibbers is getting a whole lot of work done here underneath this turret, and down goes Shun one more time. Plates are just evaporating from this inner turret, and Vic Vikla survives with just barely any health. I think he deserves that one after dying 3 times in a row in the early game. It's Trisha Barrage. He's dead.
Ooh, caught
I should never say it, man.
Yeah.
I should never say it until he's safely back home.
That was messed up.
Yeah, the cast of curses, man.
Yeah, well, they do get one back, but still great plays from BFX. Vikla had a really nice peel onto Knight. As Knight went in with the Between Worlds, he throws down the ult onto Diablo. He's looking to try to burst him out, but he got insta-stunned by Vikla, so he couldn't actually follow up with the 2-fold hex, with the weirding. He got no follow-up damage whatsoever. And once Diablo is free, I mean, he just finishes LDR. I was talking about, oh, it could be problematic because he has to get to all these items. He's so accelerated. As we're going to watch this one more time. I'm not sure what's going on, so...
No, on is going out. That's what happened. This is the new version of the replay. I'm just hearing Ezreal's ult.
A lot of ults there from Viper, you know, really emphasizing that.
Yeah, and the last one was the most important as well. As he managed to pick up the kill.
That it's over. I was enjoying that.
Yeah, I
feel like it could be like, you know, an EDM remix or something, you know? Get a little bass behind it.
Yeah.
Get it thumping.
Next time we'll try and spice it up for you.
Well, Diablo has his Hect Optics, he has his PD, he has his LDR, super high damage build. He's very accelerated. Once he gets the IE, well, the clock kind of strikes 10, right? Like that is where it is really tough.
Well, now he is in the front line. Does have to flash as Between Worlds he goes, and Knight is able to take down Diablo. Yeah, that was not where you wanted to back.
No.
And now the Baron is available. BLG, they could just go for it. I mean, Raptor is in the area. He might be able to go for a steal, but that is the best that he has as far as his options. As Clear is moving over as well. They do get vision of the fact that this is happening. As Vikla trying to charge up that stun, he will have it available. As now Clear trying to get himself amongst it. Raptor able to bounce over this wall at any moment. And so they do have to have their fingers on the smite button, or at least Shun does. As there's a knock-up actually on to the Neferi, as in he goes, down to 1900, 1500. That is going to be the Baron secured by Shun. And over the wall goes Raptor. Tibber's not able to help him out there as they get the depth thumbs up, and BLG straight back into the driver's seat.
Really well played there by BLG. Lazy recall from Diablo gets super punished because not only does he die, and that costs you that fight, that costs you the Baron, he lost his flash too. So now they're not even going to have that for the next fight. So at the very least, they will be able to move towards soul points. So that is something for them if they can continue to wave clear through these next couple of minutes during that Baron buff. But I really like how BLG actually secure the Baron. Bin can tank it up forever, so they're not really worried about it. And Shun held that empowered Q the whole time.
Yeah.
He was not going to waste that. He was not going to throw that over the wall. He was holding that for the smite secure the entire time. They paused the health for a long time on that Baron. Then he's able to secure it very, very effectively. Gets that from Raptor. And now it is time to see how much gold they can gain with this. BFX definitely not out of it by any means. If they can hold on and keep Diablo safe, that is going to be the key. But no flash on him, and flash on Knight, who is now very close to his death cap, is terrifying because you get hit by 2-fold hex plus weirding, you're basically dead. Or even if you're not, you are completely out of the fight. So that's all what it is about. And without the flash, it's really hard to be able to actually react to that and dodge that.
Yeah, Diablo is basically going to be playing defense for the next few minutes. As this Rift Scuttler is going to be taken. Raptor a little bit in a rough spot. As now we've got Knight going between worlds, but he's in a rough position himself as Bin makes his way forward. There is the tidal wave as Raptor is out of there. My goodness, the damage is ridiculous, but On is going to get taken down. Raptor, sorry, Diablo getting excited. Shun in so much trouble. Look at this guy, he's just firing from everywhere on the map. A triple already. The young 80 carry, there's a quadra, make it a penta for Diablo here at First Stand 2026.
Oh my God, Diablo with a penta to kick it off. That's the game.
That should be it. We were saying he should probably wait until that flash is available. Never mind. Let's just get a pentakill and call it a day from there, evening up the series to bring us to a best of 3 between BLG and BNK. And this is what we wanted to see from this young squad. As BNK, they came to play. Those sillies well and truly shaken out. And the Nexus is also going to be taken down here as well. Wasn't the greatest out of Vikla in the early game, but it is Diablo finishing it off. and B&K able to make their mark in this best of 5.
And this is just, it's beautiful to see them bounce back in that way. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I will say so far, Vikla has not shown up,
No,
but it is tied.
It's the same thing as me with the welcome thing. Did you say welcome to Vikla earlier today?
I didn't. That's on me.
Oh,
That's on me.
man.
I didn't welcome him.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
No.
then maybe
I
he's
didn't
still
see him,
fine.
but-
Because that's what broke me.
Okay.
I was expecting that perhaps you just walked up to him and said something, and then Vikla was just like, well, I'm out of here.
That just griefs him completely.
He
He's
just
like, you know what?
doesn't know where he is anymore.
Who is this guy?
Well, he's not going to be playing Twisted Fate, as that one's going to be banned away as we are here into Champion Select. Thank you for that one, HyperX, as Orianna and the Xin both taken away from B&K here as well. One final ban as the Gwen going to be taken away. I wasn't expecting a Gwen ban on BLG's side.
No, this is interesting. Rumble is up, so I would think that, you know, we're going to get it banned here. I don't think that they're going to want to give that over. And to me, I think the Gwen was maybe just saying, okay, I think you might go this direction as an answer.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, Galio is there, Ornn is there, so if you want to leave it up, you can have those as answering picks. But it is always difficult just to deal with it in general. Rumble's up, so you have to feel like Rumble's going to get banned. And I think they're banning the pairing with the Rumble instead of the Rumble. So it is interesting. Clearly, they must have a plan. I'm expecting Rumble to be first picked. And Rumble Kiana was that old school combo. Obviously, throw them all into the wall, equalizer over the top. We do have some of kind of like the best setup junglers already gone. But that being said, things like Nautilus and Rel and a lot of engaged champs can set up for the Rumble very, very effectively. Ashe Seraphine feels like the answer.
Yeah, I think they might just slam it. We have seen this actually in like games 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Like, just if you're on second pick, just slam the Ashe Seraphine and get yourself a winning lane no matter what.
And you know what Rumble hates? Really big shields. And you know what Seraphine has? A lot of those.
Oh, yeah. That is certainly going to be a little bit of a worry.
Yep. I mean, you hit the equalizer, and then massive AoE shielding can come out.
Oh, wow. No Seraphine yet.
Well, they can still go on 3, right? You know, Seraphine usually doesn't get picked away. That would be my assumption, that they would still go for it on 3, and then look for some kind of aggressive pairings here with the Nocturne later on. Nocturne definitely going to need some dive buddies. Obviously, Ori was banned, so not going to be able to get that. We'll see where BLG wants to go. Pretty much guaranteed you need physical damage jungler. Wukong seems like the obvious one because it is CC for the equalizer. It's also a good physical damage engage tool, which they're going to need. And Knight, let's be honest, no one plays AD mids. It's Yone and then nothing else. There is one in the top 20 picks in pro play right now. So you just have to have an AD jungler, especially if you're going AD.
I think we saw a Tristana once.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But not in the top 20 picks.
No, not really.
You have to go down to like 28 or something like that to get another one. It's crazy.
It doesn't quite work, and they don't have a Maokai as well. You don't really want to pick Maokai alongside a Rumble because that is just a bit too much magic damage. But now Knight, oh dear, that is Izari. He is very scary on this champion, and he is going to lock that one away. This 2v2 is actually quite devastating once you get to level 6s as well, as that Seraphine was a guarantee, right? You sort of have to lock that one in unless they do something very strange.
No,
but
I think
we're expecting that this is just going to be the lock-in here, and so they can protect that Ahri pick even further in that mid lane.
Oh, Milio would be interesting. I mean,
That's not what I
just don't feel like Milio blind makes sense though. If you could see the support and it was a really good support matchup, I think maybe there's some merit to it. But Ashe Seraphine is such a strong combo. Seraphine is really good into most of the matchups in 2v2, but also particularly the Rumble. You can ban out anything you're really worried about. Like if you are saying, hey, On might actually play a Blitzcrank, this would be a good Blitzcrank ban when you're looking at Ashe Seraphine, both easy to hook, really effective against the shields. So I would think you're throwing protection bans for your bot lane here for BFX, and then for BLG, you're banning out what Vikla and Clear are going to be playing, right? You're really trying to think where you can get the biggest possible advantage there.
I think if you banned on Galio, it almost does double duty, because I imagine Vikla would be pretty keen to play a Galio, right? Galio Nocturne, incredibly powerful combo.
And it's really good. Honestly, it's totally good into both these matchups, right? You can actually play in either lane, so I agree with you.
High value ban.
Nautilus makes a lot of sense. I would think the other one BFX could be going for is like a Rel, because it really synergizes very well against the Rumble. Obviously, Blitz and whatnot is a possible answer if they're worried about it. There's the Galio you were talking about. Ornn is the other common answer to Rumble that is kind of up and available. So I do agree that that is definitely a possibility. Not going to worry about the Rel. The Bard obviously is stronger in the lane in the 2v2. And when you do have low mobility, carries like the Ashe, it's very easy to hit a Tempered Fate on Ashe and then follow up after that.
Yep.
So going to be focusing a little bit more on the laning phase and less on the potential setup of something like that Rel.
Well, there's the Akali, and this is something that Vikla has been pretty good at so far this year, even though it's not necessarily something synonymous with him as a player prior to that. Certainly found a whole lot of success, so you can understand why that one has been taken away. There is a Cassante here for Clear. Clear has been very good at this champ, and this has been, in Korea, considered an answer to the Rumble that a lot of our players have wanted to go towards.
Yeah, I mean, I think tanks in general, people feel like, especially when it's double AP soul lanes, you build a Kanik. Once the Kanik's done, you're kind of chilling, right? You know, you are generally expected to get pushed in. Often the Rumbles will take first strike and just kind of farm some gold off you, and that is going to be one of the issues. We'll see if it is going to be Zeri. I mean, you could go Zeri Lulu. I do think that you're going to lose the 2v2
Zeri
really
Yumi
hard.
has been considered the counter. And I know it's weird, but it works. If they play really well. Basically, what you have to do is hit level 6 and you all in and they die.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
I
Otherwise,
can see
it's
that.
horrible.
Pre-6, I feel like it's such a bad matchup, though, that I'm always kind of
Name a matchup that isn't a bad matchup into Seraphine Ashe.
Well, I mean, a lot of the good ones are gone, right? That's kind of the issue here. You're also going to have the issue of Knight on his Ahri. Mel, very popular in the LPL, is something that has come out quite a lot. Obviously does have pretty good poke and does have the ability to deny some good engage tools, but there's nothing really over on BLG that you're looking at as like a really amazing reflect other than things like the charm, which is really what you're going to be looking for. So we'll see if he can find some success here. Vikla on the Mel, which I think it's going to be a pretty interesting game. I mean, you have to be so comfortable on whatever you're going to go into Knight's Ahri on, because this is his most played all time, and he has nearly a 78% win rate on it.
He is very good at Ahri.
It's synonymous with this champion, this player. Like, they are, you know, interlinked. They have been so successful for so long. And Knight has been dominating Vikla, so maybe this is the champ, maybe this is the game where Vikla can start to turn around.
Yeah, and we're hoping that that is going to be the case, but it's isolated only in the mid lane. I think that B&K have been able to bounce back pretty effectively elsewhere on the map, and so I think the bottom lane is where our eyes are going to be mainly glued, because if the all-in at level 6 doesn't work for Viper and On, then getting this Zeri off the ground could be a very tall order. So we'll just have to see how they're going to be able to play it out here. Otherwise, B&K could find themselves on match point. Viper, though, has been really good at Zeri in the past, so if he manages to get towards this mid-game on relatively even footing, I'd be very frightened for B&K's chances.
And this is a big change for, oh gosh, that's not good.
Vikla may start his dying a little bit early this time around, wants to get it out of the way, and there is another first blood for Knight.
Not again.
Nah, you just got to get it off the table. You know, get it out of the way. He's sorted it out. He's figured it out. Unfortunately, the minions arrive really early now.
Yeah, get that TV off the table as well.
Get the TV
You can't TP into...
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't TP into 3 players later and give up first blood, because A, he won't have TP, and B, he already gave first blood.
Nailed it. See, that's the best way to deal. I knew you understood. I knew it.
Yeah, well, Viper, to talk a little bit about him, obviously this was the big change for BLG this year. You know, Shun came back, but also Viper came in, and this was a team that had Elk for so long. Early exhaust is going to be just for trading, and so Elk had been with this squad for so long, synonymous with BLG. They bring in Viper. This is a player that has been so reliable across a lot of different teams, a lot of different rosters over the years, has been so effective, and really is considered one of the greatest AD carries of all time. I will say I don't think he's had a great series thus far.
No, not quite.
And has definitely been Diablo getting the better of him, especially in that last game, but game 1 as well. They didn't really create, you know, much of an advantage. He wasn't really a big part of it. So now that they do have the answer, they are able to see the full enemy bot lane, go for their counter picks. We'll see how effective they are going to be.
And see whether Vikla can get it together here as well, as we do see him in the mid lane, and he is going to be all right. This time around, it was a little bit more of like there were too many bad guys in the area.
But he chose to walk into the bad guys' territory. He did walk down the dark alley.
He did, and so that's not necessarily
get away from there. You know, stay by the streetlights.
Man, there are some scary things happening all over the map. As Viper going down relatively low, but On doing his best to soak as much of the harass as he can. Clear just behind the enemy turret. clearing things out, and we'll be looking to pick up the next one as well. This is what we see a lot, is you farm in between inner and then top side, and the outer, and then you head over to this one, take this one down, and then you go for a free reset.
Yeah,
and,
turns out
it's working.
Best way to lane against the Rumble, don't lane against the Rumble.
Beautiful.
I love it. And Clear
how are you supposed to first strike him? Oh, he didn't even take first strike. There's the checkmate.
There you go.
From Ben.
Yeah, that's how you're not supposed to first strike.
Yeah, just doesn't even do it. We call it the money printer because Rumble just tends to make so much first strike money. It is kind of insane. So they can be even on CS, but there's like an 800 gold lead. it's so dumb.
Yeah, that is
Keen really made it look very broken.
And it scales quite well because it's percentage increase of damage, right? So later on in the game, it's not just the money rune; it's actually they're killing you as well.
Yeah. So you get more for your money.
Yep. Well, I guess that's more money rune, you know, because getting kills. There you go. Diablo and Kellen with the push thus far, which is kind of at least to my expectation. And we'll see, you know, if they are going to be able to find this wraparound, though.
Oh, yeah, Shun making his way in. Viper looking a little worse for wear. There's the flash forward. They want to just try and kill him before this one even happens. The flash out of the way is now Viper able to be taken down here by Diablo. Avoids the turret. It is going to be a 1-for-1. But Diablo, I think, pretty happy with picking up the first one here for BNK.
No kidding. I mean, Viper has, I'm just going to say he's played horribly in these first two games, and now in the third as well. It feels like some pretty big mistakes. I mean, you think back to Ana's going to die.
Yeah, he's a Yumi. He doesn't.
His barrier.
Yeah, his barrier's already there. He canceled the auto attack, so that's not great. So he's dead.
Okay, well, he does stay alive.
Outplayed Azael.
He has been outplayed. But I think back to the earlier 2v3 that they had, where it's Viper going too early, and I feel like the same thing happened here. You have Shun behind them. You don't need to go early and even risk anything. Wait till the Wukong is there, then go forward and make him commit to that. And I feel like it's the same thing that we saw from Viper last time around in that Jinx game, where he goes too early. You know, he shifted in. That time he was playing the Ezreal early, a Pantheon coming in behind. He shifts in early, ends up dying, gives over 2 kills, even though they did eventually kill the Jinx. And this time it's kind of the same thing again. So even with that counter pick, getting 2v2 killed, not what you want to see. I mean, look where Shun is. This is what is important about it to me. You do not have to overforce like this. Your Wukong is directly behind them. They have no clear way out. Yeah, you need to bait a little bit, but like, let's be honest, he could have played it so much slower.
Yeah, I do think that BNK were good to start the aggression as aggressively as they possibly could at that moment. But like you say, just hold on a little bit as, a bit of a laugh from On, because that was a pretty unfortunate cancel.
Yeah, it is. And Diablo, it did look like an auto cancel. I think maybe lost vision too. I'm not sure. But either way, I thought he would have had the Yumi there for sure. Ends up going down, but now Raptor is the one behind them. Raptor has just been power farming. Shun is the beneficiary of all that madness on that bot side. You know, still obviously a good play for BLG, even though Viper did die when I didn't think he had to. It is still the Wukong that is getting accelerated, though now Raptor is the first to 6, has been power farming, steals away that Gromp, and now is going to go topside for the Scuttle, and we'll see if he can find anything with that first Nocturne ult, which is so important because it is a ridiculously long cooldown early on in the game.
Yeah, needs to try and get towards some of these Ultimate Hunter stacks, which is, I assume, where he's gone. Yes, indeed. So Clear and Bin fighting it out here towards his top side as well. Haven't really poked our noses in to have a look, but right now Clear is in a pretty good spot. Does have the wave shoving on forward, so I think that Bin should be able to even things out. But still, this is going better for the Cassante than how I was expecting, because Rumble has been such a good laner in general.
And Bin has been doing very well also. You know, even when you think back to last game, obviously, you know, was not nearly as explosive as game 1, but he was just going kind of dead even with Clear on the Renekton, even though he was on the Sion, usually considered to be the early game losing part of that matchup.
There's the charm. Just bonked back there. And we were talking about this before, like, where's the value of the Mel? Well, it's only really the charm, but that's also their only ranged CC that they really have outside of Prowling Projectile, right? And some harpoons. But like, as far as hard CC, the charm is what they're going to be fishing with.
Yeah.
And so I think that the value for the Mel could actually work.
It could. I mean, the question is, you know, will you be knocked up by the Cyclone when you're getting charmed? You know, will you be able to have that interaction happening? Yeah. Can you time the Reflect well amongst, you know, all that chaos? If you can, it is going to be really, really nice, right? You know, without the charm, Ahri just generally doesn't have kill threat, so you're looking to just kind of constantly harass, and when you go forward, not only does Knight have to worry about it being, you know, reflected and losing that damage and CC himself, it can hit you. And then if it hits you, you are charmed into a root, into a full Mel combo, which can be 100-0 once you get later on into the game, especially with the assistance of a reflected charm. So Knight definitely going to have to play carefully around that. But his Ahri has been stellar. I mentioned it early, but you know, he has some of the most impressive stats you will ever see on this champion. Most played in his career, 77.6% win rate, and killer stats. To me, I always think of him as still the Syndra guy because I think about the early days when he was just so insane on that, but he had a ridiculous run where he had not lost on Ahri for such a long time.
Yeah.
It became, you know, to him what LeBlanc was to Faker, I think, for a long time.
Well, let's see whether he can make it happen as we're going all out here towards the top side of the map. Clear, looking for an angle, doesn't find the Q. So Bin is just going to be able to time this one out. Still, I think this Cassante has worked as far as the answer to the Rumble, really neutralizing it so far as Clear shoves another wave in. And BLG looking to start off this Dragon. That level 6 that we were talking about has been now picked up by Viper and On, but they haven't found an all-in angle just yet. As the Equalizer comes down just to clear out this wave, grab some tempo back, and that will happen here for Bin.
Yeah.
The extender Bin comes down into this bottom lane.
Raptor's going to cancel his base. They're going to try to make this go really long. He is there behind him.
Yeah, there's Paranoia. Flash comes on forward here as there is no ulti from Clear, so he couldn't get himself over the wall. So that's a 1-for-1. That's a big one for Bin.
Yeah, that is honestly really good for Bin at the end of the day. It's a trade of flashes. You get a 1-for-1. Your team gets to do Dragon on the bot side. I'm kind of surprised they forced it that hard.
Oh, there's the all-in here on this bottom side as well for BLG. It's Diablo in a lot of trouble, has to flash to get underneath the safety of the turret. There's no kill, but it is still a lot of pressure put on here by BLG.
Yeah, and that is that level 6 advantage for On. He has the ult where Kellen does not. So even once they get the cleanse off Viper, there's no Encore to come through. That meant that Diablo had to flash away. So a good bit of pressure there from BLG, but yeah, I mean, once the wave got equalized on the top side, I'm surprised they tried to force that with no minions. I thought they were just going to kind of harass him, delay the base, and said, Raptor really wants to force this. I thought they might have gone for a really long wave, but instead, Clear goes in, tanks this up. Nice flash over by Bin, overheats, gets that damage down on Clear, who, as you said, he knew had no all-out because they had traded that back and forth early. So just need to get a little bit of damage down on him, lock someone in a tower long enough they can get the kill.
Was a little bit unfortunate, but still able to get that kill back. You can see about a 900 gold lead at the moment for BLG. Looking a lot more like Game 2 rather than Game 1, though. So I think we will see a relatively even mid-game. Just have to see whether BLG can get themselves across the line after that, because, of course, they were finding a lot of great advantages in that game as well. I think this time around going to be a little bit more on the ball, as there is a little cat on a book that's kind of away from her friends, which is not necessarily what you want to see, but they're not going to be able to take down On this time around, and he's proven that he's quite slippery on this champion.
Yeah, and Kellen just now hitting 6, so I think that's why he probably wasn't super worried. You knew the Ash Arrow had been used in that last fight. You knew that there was no level 6 on the Seraphine. Now you do have both those tools coming up here, so this is where Viper will have to be careful because you have no cleanse available. If all the CC hits, it can be very devastating. And I think that's going to be something that's problematic in general for BLG, even for people like Bin, who, you know, you're going early tabbies because it is Nocturne Cassante on the top side, but then that means you have no tenacity here against all of the CC that is going to be coming through. The Mel Snare, the Encore, the Roof from Seraphine, the Crystal Arrow, there's the Fear, there's so many tools that BFX have. If you get caught in that CC, the chain can be kind of never ending.
Yeah. Well, let's just see whether they can actually deal with this one. I think in isolated little skirmishes, though, BLG are so powerful with the composition that they have. Ahri and Wukong very, very good at just locking down a target and having enough damage to kill them. And then in the late game, it's just going to be the Viper show. He has to dodge basically everything, but if he does manage to do so, utilizes that cleanse very well, and there's a Mikhail's on this cat, then this Zeri could really take over the game. So certainly some win conditions here, but it will be tough going for the AD carry. And like you were saying, he hasn't had the greatest series so far. Why not just allow him to hard carry this one in a scenario where he absolutely has to if BLG are going to get over the top as far as later on in the series is concerned, in the game is concerned.
Yep, has that Shiv completed. Obviously, he's in a totally fine position, you know, in this game. He's doing pretty well, just didn't need to give over that kill, I don't think, earlier to Diablo, who has been stellar. And that's the scary thing, right, is you don't want to give a kill to Diablo accelerate him when he has been having, you know, such an impressive year and even a really impressive series coming off of a pentakill, a game-winning pentakill, and is going to be set up for success here. You have to think in this game, though there are a lot of threats, so Ashe is not going to be easy to play, especially if you don't have Flash. It's going to be almost impossible for Diablo, it feels like. It's going to be really down to his team peeling for him, because without Flash, Equalizer's going to get dropped on your head. There's going to be Shun coming in with the Cyclone. There's going to be all of these things thrown at you, and that is going to be almost impossible to dodge on the Ashe. But if they're the ones who are starting off the fights, I think equally so it can get very chaotic on the other side.
Yeah, and I think if they're coordinated, even if they're engaged on, right? Like, Paranoia can be such a good defensive tool as well as an engaged tool, right? Turning off the lights can really make things frustrating. And so if B&K are going to be able to get those team fights working, as they've said themselves that they absolutely love it. They wanted to show the world how good they are in these sort of fight scenarios. So let's see whether they can put their money where their mouth is here in this game number 3.
Look at all the vision BLG are putting on that bot side in the jungle, trying to track where Raptor would have to ult Viper from, right? So they're saying, okay, we've got to keep Viper safe. All of these wards through the entire bot side, wards in the river, 3 in the enemy jungle, a pink there down on that bot side as well.
Oh, arrow connects from downtown! Paranoia comes through once again, it's clear. He can't take the turret for much longer than that, but he doesn't need to, as Raptor will take the last one, and down goes the Rumble. This time, the dive worked.
Diablo setting it up from downtown.
He was actually in the bottom lane. That was insanity.
Yeah, I actually looked behind me. I heard him yell out Kobe on the stage, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there we go. Beautifully done. That is going to be the first turret taken down as well. So B&K a lot more money, but now BLG to try and fight back. There's the Cyclone onto Diablo. He flashes out of the way. A great encore here from Kellen defensively as the final chapter comes down, but I don't know about that timing as Viper throws in his ulti as well, and now Clear comes in with a huge shield, but Knight's down as well. The charm is going to miss though, and Diablo is doing his very best to get out of the way of every ability thrown at him, and nothing's going to stick.
Nicely done there by Diablo. Important sidesteps, but now Vicla's moving down here on the Mel. They want to continue the fight because Raptor and Clear are very healthy.
Yeah, there are so many buttons now on cooldown as well on either side. But Clear also wants to get some value out of this teleport that he just used to get towards his bottom side. Could be a dragon being taken as a Hex Tech is now up and available. Would be able to even out the dragons here, and it looks like B&K are going to settle for that.
Yep, and he had a lot of time because he had that wave push so deep, right? They had taken the top lane tier 1, so they got first tower. He had pushed it all the way to the tier 2. He's going to be losing plates now. It is Vikla looking like he's going to go up and answer that. So there is a cost to this. Bin is going to get some money, but still, you get down towards the bot side, you get that dragon, that's going to feel nice.
Well, you got an exhaust down onto Raptor, who flashes out of the way. Over the wall goes Viper, though, and oh dear, the shutdown comes in. It's not a kill for the Zeri. That is probably good news if you're a B&K fan.
Yeah.
But you're getting pretty close to some certification because Viper is looking terrifying.
He is, and well played, honestly. They're just very patient with the dash. They chase him down, utilizing the exhaust to just hold them kind of in place. Force out that early flash, and then just slides right over the wall, gets an easy kill. Should not have taken that kill. Of course, Wukong with money is still great, but you want that shutdown on your Zeri, let's be honest.
Yeah, Zeri's probably one of the 80 carries that wants it the most out of everyone.
Greedy.
Can really take over the game. Greedy, but for a good reason, you know? Let's see whether Viper is going to be able to get a kill for himself. Does now have about a 12 CS advantage as well. And so that is not what you want. If you're a Seraphine Ashe lane, you probably want to be ahead. And they are certainly not. The top side of the map, though, is where B&K do have a bit of an advantage. And only 700 gold doesn't really mean too much here when we know they have such a wombo combo here on this B&K side. Same is to be said for BLG, though. They can find themselves some pretty devastating team fights if they're fighting on their terms. And I think, like, we talk about this, but I think it's going to be who has the fights on their terms that is going to be able to win. So tempo going to be such a huge thing in this game. As Vikla, I don't know about that position as he flashes to get himself out of the way. There's a Paranoia as they just turn it onto Raptor. Does have that shield. Oh dear, okay, that is a lot of damage as they go 1-for-1. Now the flash on in as Viper looking for it onto Diablo, but he has the shield. He had the barrier, and Kellen's able to pick up the kill. Now the cat doesn't have a friend anymore. There's a fight on the bottom side of the map as well, picture in picture, but you've got to see this Monkey making his way out of the pit. Shun is going to survive, and it looks like Clear is okay as well there towards that bottom lane.
Viper just flashed on Diablo, and Diablo's like, Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. He just takes him down, and Egg on Viper's face once again. The woes continuing a bit for the BLG bot laner. Shun still at the end of the day. You know, he gets the Herald. He's getting really, really strong, but Viper just looking a bit out of sorts as Diablo just popped that barrier. They're going to try to run down
Maybe if you've got a
Vikla.
name that starts with V, it's just a bit of a rough day. As we can see, Vikla down the red carpet and will just be dead. On is going to steal that kill away. We're all about not giving kills over to the right people in certain circumstances. That's sort of how it's been going here. As BNK looking to try and answer here in this mid lane. It's a decent cross map, as the extender beam not going to be enough to take down these minions, so it should be BNK able to open up the map here with this mid lane outer turret. Yep,
that is great. Going to be able to knock down another tower. The gold very, very close. BLG just ever so slightly in the lead here. But BFX fighting well. Viper now does have that second item here, as he's going to have that really powerful initial burst of damage. You pop the ulti, you get all the crits, and then you're going in with on, having exhaust, having ultimate, and you're trying to really put out that pressure very, very quickly. Push Diablo out of the fight, push Vikla out of the fight. And Vikla, his positioning has not been perfect by any means. They're going to look for a dive.
Yeah, he may just be dead as the riposte does come on through, but it's not going to do anything at all. However, he has the ulti down. That is so many stacks, and that's a flash needed from Knight to get himself out of the fight. And Shun's going to be taken out. The revenge of Vikla has happened. And now Knight is going to have to try and get himself out of the enemy jungle.
Might be time to check your clocks, because it's looking like it's the year of Vikla.
I'm looking at my calendar. We had a little bit of a moment at the beginning of the day, but it was just the wrong timing. Knight will be taken out. Raptor is able to finish that one off.
Yeah, Vikla used the reflect so early. I thought he was going to get killed for sure, but then Knight missed the charm. I think Knight felt that Vikla was going to continue moving, but Vikla actually, watch, he stops moving here, uses the reflect really early, and then he stops moving to cast the Golden Eclipse. And Knight throws the charm down below him. That was a stationary target, but I think Knight thought he was going to continue moving and was kind of throwing it preemptively where he thought he would go. If that charm lands, Vikla's dead for sure. Unfortunately, Knight does not hit the charm. Vikla survives, gets a kill there. And BLG now, just like that, they were up 500. They are now down 1.2K. And creating a very nice little edge here for themselves.
And look at the junglers as well. And now Coinbase Gold Grind, Raptor versus Shun. It is a decent lead for the Nocturne. And the junglers have been really the main characters of this particular game. And you're looking at a 4-1-2 Wukong. And he's behind.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, Raptor has been farming very effectively. Look at the CS difference, right? It's almost 30 CS. That is where a lot of that is coming from.
Arrow connects onto the Wukong, who was in the
surprise monkey.
Yeah, surprise monkey. Just going to take some arrows. But BNK not going to get too much joy from that ulti being thrown out.
Gotta be careful where you shoot those arrows. You don't want to just hit a random monkey in the jungle. Brother's in his home.
They are in the jungle, so there are monkeys. You do have to be careful of them.
You do have to be careful.
All right, so Mountain Drake, it's going to be a Mountain Soul this game, and I think that if BNK managed to get a Mountain Soul, it might just be game over, because I don't know whether anyone can kill clear.
Yeah, I think that will be really, really difficult. So much of the top side of BLG is all about the initial punch, obviously. You know, with the Cyclone, with the Spirit Rush, with the Equalizer, being able to burst someone down during that moment. And Mountain Soul makes that really, really tough. Bin going to be trailing Knight here. They were going to see if Clear would overextend, but he does not. And even if he did, he is very resistant to magic damage.
Yeah, it's going to take about 12 years to die. We can see already things are a little bit rough, right? Because Ari not exactly a tank buster, as now we've got an Encore coming on forward. Charm comes on down, but it looks like we are going to see the monkey make his way out, and a successful escape there from Shun.
Runs for the hills, will be able to get out of there, and that is really nice. Just trading the Cyclone for both the Paranoia as well as the Golden Eclipse, as well as the Encore. That is
pretty good.
A really good deal there for Shun. And we will see. This next fight, I think, is going to be a pretty important one. I do think BLG will be ready to fight at this next dragon. I think that's where we're really looking for action once again. If they can't just find some sort of a pick, that is where we are going to have to see if they are ready to scrap, because I don't think you want to allow BFX to just get towards Soul Point for free.
Nope. And there's also 2 items on the Seraphine as well. This is where she really starts to become pretty obnoxious in this game, as Vikla does tank a Prowling Projectile that Shun not too keen on making any more engage happen. As the Rich Herald may just die again. Never mind, does manage to get a charge, but there's the final chapter. Not exactly doing too much of anything at all. Clear making his way in with the teleport. Let's see whether this wraparound is going to work as he finds a great flank angle, pushes the Wukong out of the way as the Q doesn't land from Vikla, but Knight is kind of out of this fight, and Clear is just kind of by himself and not taking damage.
Yeah, not taking damage, but not really doing any either. BLG do get pushed back, but it was the TP off Clear for really not much of anything.
Well, not yet anyway, as they're continuing to fight here. There's the all-out as Shun getting pulled back. The equalizer is fantastic as Raptor is just going to get taken down. The volley is hurting a little bit here, but it's BLG that draw first blood in the fight as Vikla gets in, finds the overwhelm to take down this Rumble as they get vision of Shun, slowed down by the volley, prowling projectile onto Diablo as the extender beam. Now, I don't think they want to be diving as Zeri. That's the time where she kills all of you and you lose the game.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. It felt like a bit of an overforce from Clear. He TP'd in and he just seemed so hungry to try to find something. Then it looked like they actually had finally found something as Shun was staying around. I mean, Shun is just messing with Raptor there, trying to knock that down, has to retreat back, but he used the clone to try to get away. The equalizer here, though, was so problematic for BFX because Diablo can't even walk into the fight. He's got to walk back the entire way around. And Diablo, though, as we're back to live, looking for 1v2.
There's 3 people here, Diablo. What are we doing? That was crazy, but he did almost manage to get a kill. So maybe we say that it could have been worth, and sometimes things don't work out.
Did not work out that time. He does lose his flash and does die, which is going to be really big for the next fight. At the very least, though, they got the flash off of Shun, so they did get some tools out there, as well as it looks like both the summoners from On at the same time. It was very close to getting a kill in what seemed to be a 1v3 as we
very
jumped into that.
as to how that one started. As I imagine, Diablo probably found himself a lone monkey, and then the monkey's friends turned up.
It's never a fair fight.
Yep, doesn't quite work out there. As it's a lot of animals on the BLG composition. Have you noticed?
True.
Kind of crazy.
It is.
Just
Shun is very
and
low.
Rumble.
It makes more sense how he almost died now, I feel like, as the early flash, Diablo kites out the Cyclone, turns around with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but, I mean, Viper is there. I feel like he could have just walked out of that one.
I think he could have just decided not to die.
This is very much a Diablo play, as you see the reaction.
Yeah, Rather is just like, oh, not again.
Diablo is one of these guys who hits the sickest outplay you've ever seen, and then is like, ha, you can do nothing to me, and then just walks in and kills himself immediately.
Exactly. Well, they are now just going to walk over to Baron. Let's see whether this is going to work, because right now, BLG seem to have absolutely no idea that this is happening. And in fact, Knight might check it, but this is gone.
It is gone. But we'll see the fight after, because now they know, and BLG are coming, but Bin has his TP. They're going to go.
Yep. Extended beam does come on down. As we do have a snare, that is going to hold them in position. Final chapter does come on forward as they're looking for the Wukong, but he gets stunned up, just destroyed by Vikla. And now, BLG also going to lose the fight. They get on in there. Knight takes so much damage as Diablo just shoots him. And yeah, they managed to take down the Ashe, but Diablo is not the main character this time around, as it's a triple for Vikla. Make that one a quadra. Oh my God, that's an ace for B&K.
It's the year of Vikla, baby.
I guess it is.
Quadra there starts off the game getting first blood, and he is 7-2-1. But watch Viper again. Viper in this fight here. He tries to go right into the face of Vikla, goes straight in, and he just gets burst. He just dies. No flash. He cleanses the root, doesn't use his flash at all. He's playing these fights way too fast, way too aggressive. Let the people get in front of you and then hit them. You have so many members around you to support you in that spot, but he's just charging in and dying off. Viper gets destroyed by Diablo and Vikla as he just charges into their face. And Vikla now, it's Magi's time. He built the Magi's against the Magi's guy.
Oh, that's my boy.
That is confidence.
See, you know what? It's exactly what we were talking about. He got it out of the way early this time.
Yeah.
You know, just do it before the laning phases even happened. As now clear, we were talking about his immortality. We do have a dragon up and available for B&K. That'd be Soul Point, and Double Mountain is already just so many stats to try and get through on this Cassante.
You know, next game, maybe he could ask Knight for a quick 1v1, get solo killed before the game starts.
That's an in-practice tool.
In-practice tool, exactly. That would be crazy.
That'd be the tactic. We'll have to let Vikla know. As Shun looking for a little bit of a wraparound, should be able to get into position as the equalizer is good from Bin. At the same time, the encore is also fantastic. It's another kill as Vikla goes godlike. They get into the backline. The Mel is taken out as it's a double for the Zeri and make that one a triple. Never matter how many mistakes you make, as long as you find your window to get that certification, it can work. As he does need to be a little bit careful here, as the bottom lane are still alive. Diablo needs to find some of these harpoons. Look, Diablo just wants to walk up. It doesn't matter the scenario.
His sidesteps have been so good. Sidestep a couple skill shots in a row there, but BLG retreating away into this tower are going to be able to knock that down. It was a great reflect from this one from Vikla. He got to reflect on the charm onto Knight. Knight got charmed up, got burst down early on. So even with that equalizer that looked pretty much perfect from Bin, this fight is just continuing. Equalizer is back.
Yeah, Equalizer does come down. It's not doing a whole lot.
Knight is back
inner turret is also down. Kellen has to tank up the prowling projectile. Bin looking a little worse for wear, but gets that flame spitter onto Diablo. And now Knight is back, like you were talking about. But so is Vikla, looking to try and take down Bin. He just explodes at the start of this fight, but it's 2 for Knight. Just dashes after them and takes them down in what was the weirdest League of Legends I'd seen in a really long time. Now as Vikla continues the fight, there is a Foxy lady for On to join with, and now back on over to Viper as final chapter's up again. And now Shun looking for a little bit of an angle. 7 seconds on that Cyclone as you've got Raptor coming in. Does make them a little bit afraid as Viper gets himself back into position. And Raptor is the target they're looking for. He dashes over the Cyclone and Vikla does it again. Viper just explodes one more time. Same thing to be said though as the Mel is taken down. This is one of the longest team fights I have ever casted in my life as they've respawned and they're back into it once again. This time it's clear, going all out against BLG. And Azale, who won?
I would say BFX because Kellen is back. Diablo is respawning. It's their dragon.
I guess
and that was crazy. We saw a fight. I want to say start and end with an equalizer, but the fight kept going after the second equalizer, and the fight now is ending with the third equalizer.
We need to change the name of Final Chapter, by the way, because there were 2, and obviously was wrong.
It's been renamed in the patch notes to add a page.
Aha! There we go.
Yeah, and here it is one more time. They just decided to go back in onto Viper. Viper walking forward, gets tagged by everything from Vikla, gets burst down, even with Shun killing off Vikla afterwards. Clear is here, Raptor is here. They don't have the damage to get through them. Raptor knows it, flashes forward, and they're able to get even more. And now with the bot lane respawning, we assume that in live, they were able to get more there.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about being able to live. He's been able to live in a lot of scenarios. Currently 14-1 as far as like assists and kills versus deaths. That is pretty ridiculous. 14 KDA, not bad. But let's see with the BLG with almost a gold lead, you could say. I mean, it's there's nothing much in it here at 29 minutes in the game. BNK though, 18-6 as far as those kills are concerned, and they have been team fighting very, very well, and they have the tools to make this one happen. So let's just see.
Yeah, Vikla has lost most of the pages in his mage eyes, unfortunately, but he is subscribing to the school of Chovy thought here. Should get a proto belt on everything.
Yep, that's a good way to do it.
He's got it, and Infinity Edge done for both the Diablo and Viper. Damage really has ramped up. Viper has not really looked very impactful in this game, but he is 3K up.
He does have the capacity to win for BLG.
Exactly. Like
in any scenario.
You have one good fight where Viper is not just getting randomly one-shot, and you have people in front of him, and he could end the game.
Oh, there's a paranoia. I'm not entirely sure why.
I think they didn't realize how many members were there, and then as he popped it, they got vision of more of BLG coming in. I think he was saying, oh, there's only one or two here.
No.
Exactly. And then someone screamed, Bin's there, Bin's there, Bin. So they do waste the paranoia, but it's rank 3. It's pretty late in the game, and you can see it's already, about a third of the way off cooldown. So it should be up and available. I don't think BLG are going to be forcing a Baron in their face or anything like that. So you really are just waiting for this next fight here at the Dragon for that potential soul.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty high value as well. Mountain Soul, as we mentioned, could be pretty powerful on BNK. Any soul is generally very good, but if you're the one team with a tank, you'll be feeling pretty fantastic to buff clear up, make sure that he is an immovable object in that front line. He's also so important against Zeri. Cassante is brilliant into Zeri. She loves coming over walls. And then he says, no, back you go. And then if that's on cooldown, she's not going to be able to enter the fight, and then you kill everyone else. That is kind of the theory.
You can see Viper now on 5 completed items plus the boots. as he just finished up another one. So is that full item ahead of Diablo, who will still have a lot of threat, and Kellen does have his Mikhails. So it's the Reflect you have to deal with for the Charm. There's also the Mikhails now. It is going to be very difficult for Knight, and he has been struggling in this game.
Vikla doesn't have a lot of buttons left, but Viper once again goes in, and his health bar just evaporates. As there's the paranoia, you can see Raptor still looking for an opportunity. For the rest of BLG, they do collapse around their AD carry, but Clear just says no. Just kills Bin. In goes Shun, and just down to his GA immediately. BK just taking them down one after the other as finally Viper goes in, finds one, but then Diablo stands his ground and murders him. On this time, he's not going to survive, and it's a multi-kill, a quadra for the Casante of Clear.
Clear saw what Diablo did, what Vikla did. He wants to get involved too. How about a quadra for Casante and a win for FearX?
What the heck was that? Brilliant team fighting here from B&K. They'll take down this mid inhibitor once again. And one more time, it is just a waltz through the mid lane in order to take down the Nexus. B&K reaching match point in their first best of 5 of First Stand 2026.
What a way to do it, man.
I don't know, man. It's not really what I was expecting. I was expecting Vikla to play a whole lot better, but that's not what this series has been about, outside of, I guess, Vikla later on in these games.
Game 3 specifically.
Yeah, very specifically. But also Clear being able to pick up that quadra kill on his Casante. Like, Clear, even in the LCK Cup, was relatively quiet in comparison to Vikla that was stealing the show and Diablo, who is always just a psychopath. Let's see how this one is going to change as we get into pick and ban for game number 4. The Orianna and the Xin Zhao are both going to continue to be banned, as the Lucian going to be taken away, as Diablo is a ridiculous Lucian player, and a good idea to get rid of that one.
Yeah, so the question is, will they leave Azir up? You talked about Vikla, his comfort on Akali. That is an option. You could leave the Azir up to try to dare them, look for the Akali matchup. That's something that they can think about. We were talking about this, and so that is going to be the option that they do. They leave the Azir up, and I think that's what they're doing. They're saying, all right, I dare you, pick it, I'll play Akali. But Knight is also going to be happy to take the other side of that. That's the other thing, is that Knight is a player who can play these aggressive matchups too. So instead, they're just going to ignore it, and they are going to go early Lulu.
Oh.
So then you're kind of daring them to, okay,
take away the Yunara.
Exactly, like take away the Yunara. Are you willing to take away the Yunara? If not, where will they go? Because Jinx is gone. We could go like Lulu Aphelios or something like that if they take it away. So I do think Lulu early here is quite strong. And if neither mid laner in these first couple picks is willing to slam the Azir, then you could go Azir on 3 and then do protection bans. So it gets a little bit weird, right? Where it's like, okay, you don't want to maybe first round it, but then if BLG don't pick Azir now, Vikla can go Azir on 3 and then ban out, the Akali or the Yone or whatever you're concerned about in the next round. So now I feel like BLG, they almost have to go Azir a little bit more. Like, you don't have to, but I mean, it becomes more valuable here for BFX after this round.
Well, Sivir Lulu is going to be the option here for Viper and On. And I quite like that. A lot of DPS out of a Sivir. And then we'll just have to see what else we're going to get.
Thinking. And then, the question is, does BFX go Azir on 3? Do they decide to take it away for BLG?
Do you punish a blind Nah?
Exactly. Are you going to try to go and punish that? Well, honestly, it's like a lot of the picks I would think of. I was going to say York would be the only one that I would think is kind of in his pool that he would be looking for as a counter, because obviously Gwen is banned, Jax is gone, and so this would be pretty exciting. It will be a very different look. Been smacked Clear in game 1, but Clear did great in these last couple games, was looking solid. York can be a tough matchup for Gnar. It's really all about hitting the Morning Mist. How many E's can you hit? When Gnar is in mini, it can be pretty tough. You can get whittled down by these ghouls, by the harass, and post 6, your trades become very valuable.
And Kellen is a very famous Renata player. This guy has been brilliant on this champion.
But look, what are you picking when you...
Yeah, I don't know why.
You could just spell shield it.
Yeah.
And like I think Yunara with Renata is a good pairing. I think Renata is incredibly good when they are showing dive, but we are not showing dive at all.
We're showing let's not team fight ever.
Exactly. So we're showing split push and wave clear, right?
Yeah.
And so I do always worry about Renata's effectiveness when you are not playing against A, an engaged support in lane, and B, just an engaged comp in general. We'll see. Maybe they're saying, you know what, BLG are going to have to draft some stuff that's going to be effective into regardless. Like maybe they're expecting Shun and Knight to pick relatively low range picks. Syndra are going to be targeted. Azir still not banned. So we'll see if either team are concerned about it. Of course, you can try to go it here on 4 if you want. And, you know, some of these mid lane bans are just targeting Knight, so potentially protecting for that. Or maybe Azir's just going to get completely ignored, but I'd be very surprised if it gets completely ignored through the second phase.
I would expect so too. I think that it's something that needs a little bit of a look in at least. I think, for me, like, Galio right now is standing out a lot. Shun going to have his Kindred banned away. Nice little shout out there. But one final ban here on the side of BLG. And then we'll just have to see what B&K are going to go for as far as this 4th pick, because that'll really shape what this composition is going to look like. I think that both teams with bottom lane and top side locked in, Gnar can be used as a side lane champ as well. You don't necessarily have to go team fight after this, but if I see a Maokai locked in, then we know what we're going to get, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it is going to be Victor. So Azir will be left up still. Both teams kind of just playing that game of chicken a little bit with the
Azir
chicken
and Gnar is
emperor.
actually a pretty powerful combination as well.
Yeah, it really can be. It does synergize well, but clearly at this point you are thinking, all right, like they are leaving it up because they want me to pick it, because he has a counter pick that he's going to look to slam. And while Victor was very effective in last game, the 1v1s have not gone his way.
No.
It is fair to say. So would be a little bit more nervous, I think, to be blinding that.
I think the Trundle's an interesting one. This stops Spin from, well, actually, he's already locked in his champion, so never mind. It stops Shun from playing a tank jungler,
It does.
I guess.
It does. I mean, we're also just getting further down the tier list. You have to play an AD jungler. That's just pro League of Legends now. It's basically only Yone and then all APs. So if you want to play an AP, you need an AD jungler to be able to pair alongside that.
And some smoke and mirrors here from Knight. Yet more things that you don't want to be playing Renata into.
Yeah. That would be unfortunate, but it does at least mean that it is blind. So now you have the opportunity to try to pivot here. You know, if you want to go for a different answer, a different counter, you could look towards that, which would be cool to see if Vikla wanted to go. A lot of people talk about some of these counters, you know, things like Malzahar, Lissandra, and, you know, so on and so forth. We could just see a completely standard mid lane matchup, but it does at least open the door when you're blinding something like the LeBlanc. Little Zahungle?
Yeah, interested to see what's going to happen here. That Maokai that I was talking about before is a consideration on the BLG side instead.
Yeah, and it's still like, look how low commitment they are. They saw Renata and they say, oh, you want us to fight? Well, that's funny. Just going to be able to press. Okay, so we are going to get Galio as the answer to LeBlanc. I like this. I like it even more so than Lissandra and whatnot that I was talking about. I will say there's not really a great delivery system. Your hard engage is, I guess, Gnar getting behind them, and then you Galio ult in.
Trundle wander in. We actually we saw
the
a similar
deadly pillar.
Yeah, we saw like during the time where it was Orianna Nocturne all the time. Canyon actually came up with the Trundle Orianna, which was you put the ball on Trundle and then he flashes into the enemy team and then they all get shockwave.
It's so funny how much more we've seen this year of that. I've been seeing so much of that, not even just specifically with the Trundle, but with Xin and with all these champs. People like, oh, it turns out you can just flash the shockwave in on anyone.
Just be there.
Yeah.
And, you know, Faker did show us that.
Anyone can be Nocturne as long as you believe in yourself enough.
Exactly.
Just
We've all got a light switch at home.
Yeah.
You just switch that back and forth and then play whatever you want.
Exactly.
Easy peasy.
Lock it in.
I'm not sure about this draft from B&K FureX, though. I think that the Renata is really throwing me through a loop.
I don't like Renata at all, but both the comps are pretty atypical. The soul laners on the other side are Yorick and LeBlanc, right? So it's not exactly your most standard game of League of Legends. Both teams have really powerful scaling bot lanes as far as, you know, high DPS carry. I do think it could be difficult with the Renata, but at the same time, you can just kind of walk forward with Trundle pillars and play it slow, right? They don't necessarily have to full send it. And if you are first to an area, then all of a sudden face checking into Trundle and to Renata, into Galio taunt, like that becomes a lot more difficult. And if you get hit by any sort of CC, like if LeBlanc does get taunted up, well, all of a sudden then you're hit by Handshake and Hostile Takeover and all of these tools. So we'll have to find out how the early game is going to go here.
Yep. As so far, they're just checking one another out. Minions taking a little while to get here, but they'll be here pretty soon.
They will, and this time Knight is the one who gets chunked out a little bit here at level 1.
Wow,
trying to get some
that's
damage
the
back.
Evolution?
It is.
Vikla will finally get that solo kill here in game number 4.
The year of Vikla is just getting better and better.
Yeah, it's certainly improving.
Yeah.
And it started off really strong in the LCK Cup as well. But there were certainly some moments where I looked like I had egg on my face when I was saying how great he was, and then we went into games and he didn't didn't have every day that was working out. But we
Not
don't
every
need to.
day can
you
be
don't
a
need
good
to
day.
have every day.
You need the bad to appreciate the good.
Exactly.
You know?
If you don't like him at his worst, then you don't deserve him when he wins Worlds. You
Exactly.
know? And that's what we're going to be talking about later, is what I assume.
Of course.
As right now, Knight and Vikla are just trading damage over and over. I think Knight is going to have a fine time, but Vikla should be able to weather the storm.
Wouldn't it be something if Vikla won Worlds before Chovy?
Oh, God. Before GTA 6?
Yeah. That truly would be the year of Vikla.
Yeah, that'd be too much. That'd
then
be too
it needs
much.
to be, needs to become official.
I mean,
It's not like some people have days. He needs to get a year, you know?
It was already weird enough when Zeka won Worlds before Chovy. We don't need to go any further than that.
We've gone too far.
Yeah,
I apologize.
We've gone too far already in history.
Okay, yeah.
As Clear is put into the Ghoulie Wall. Are you a fan of Ghoulie Wall?
It's a first hearing it for me.
Yeah, you don't know the Ghoulie Wall? That's what I like to call that ability, because the name of it just isn't really. It doesn't really tell me Ghoulie Wall
the
things.
cage. I don't know what it is.
Well, there's a pillar, and Bin is in a really uncomfortable position now. That pillar placement was amazing as he flashes out of the ring of ghouls. And Bin is now just going to have to try and get himself out of here. Teleports away, and that is going to get him to safety. But
look at the wave.
It's going to mean that he's going to have a little bit of trouble, with this minion wave.
Yeah, the wave is really bad. So I'm kind of surprised he didn't just flash the pillar. Honestly, I feel like that would have worked out way better. You can also just self-cage, in these situations where you just walk back towards your tower and it's Trundle. You drop the cage on your head against the wall somewhat, and it's like, what are they going to do? Flash into the cage? Like, you should be able to get out, but we'll see if Vikla...
Yeah, Vikla is going to channel the taunt here. It does taunt up the tree, but is now running the wrong direction. So I think it might be another First Blood scenario, this time going... Never mind. Okay, Justice Punch. Vikla is wandering.
Don't speak too soon.
He's wandering. Oh no, the sapling. Run! Run, Galio! Is it going to hit? It does. He's slowed down, and there is the twisted advance. A very delayed First Blood, but once again, Vikla is on the floor.
But Knight didn't even get an assist, so now you just call jungle diff.
Oh, value.
Exactly.
That's the progression. He dies again, but not to his lane opponent.
It's the jungler's fault. Raptor, come on, bro. Knight didn't even get an assist. What are you talking about?
Wait, he just delivered Shun to the top lane, and now Clear is dead. What is that? Okay, and Bin is able to get himself out to safety. That's absurd. Beautifully played here. The Yorick picks up the kill, but that one was all about the Maokai.
Yeah, I've never seen such good jungle pathing from a mid laner.
I know. That's why it's his year.
Exactly.
He can do everything.
He can do everything. He can even jungle path for the enemy jungler.
Exactly.
We've heard about shot calling for your own team. What about shot calling for the other team?
I'm not even in comms, man.
Buddy, look how easy it would be to kill Clear. Come on up. I'll show you.
Hold my hand. It's just over here.
Follow me. Let's go find Gnar.
Oh, goodness. Well, here they are. They found him. Put him into the Dark Procession. Do you like Dark Procession? Ghoulie Wall. They're your options.
Ghoulie Wall is better than Dark Procession.
Yeah, see? I told you.
Yeah.
Big fan. Okay, well, now the beginning disasters aren't necessarily as bad as game one, but I put them between
It's where we end.
Exactly. It's about whose Nexus explodes.
Yeah.
And right now, it's looking like BNKs are the ones in the most danger. However, it is early games, and they were early times, and those were weird situations.
The before times.
The before times, indeed.
Yeah. Well, Bin, he does have a kill, and Shun has a kill, so they are out to a nice little gold lead on their side, 1.2k in the advantage. I really want to see Viper have a better game, though, because it is weird to watch him make some of these mistakes, and to watch him last game with this massive gold lead on the Zeri, one of the champions we were talking about. It's even in solo queue and in pro for sure, when Zeri gets ahead, you often just feel like, well, that's kind of that. Like, let's go next. You're not going to be able to deal with it.
It's the most inevitable champion that we've had. Like, you get a lead and you just win the game.
Death, taxes, Zeri.
Yep.
There you go.
That's how it goes. It seems like Knight also going up towards his top side. And Raptor is going to turn up as well, so it's going to be a 2v2. That dive was a little early from Bin, as Clear is looking to try and chase him. There is the heroic entrance as well, as now Vikla turns up, but Clear is out of this fight. And Knight is flashing away, didn't want to get taunted, as there is the Maiden one more time. Bin just going to be wandering his way out. They don't want this fight, they are just going to disengage.
Yep, going to be able to back off. Nice roam there from Vikla to cover and also force the flash off of Knight. But at the end of the day, Bin keeps the Maiden alive, walks out, and now they're going to be able to try to turn this into a nice little invade. Yorick definitely can help kill these camps off very quick, and getting the blue buff is honestly really, really nice here for Shun. Just be able to take that away, hit 6, and does have that 6 a little bit early as a result.
Yep, Nature's Grasp, pretty powerful as well, so hitting 6, kind of the goal here for the Maokai, so nailing that one. As on some supportal combat here towards this bottom side of the map. Kellen finding some angles there with a nice handshake, but Diablo will turn up. Non is just going to get himself out.
Yep, and we'll have to back off at the end of the day, but they crash the wave, so Viper is going to be happy about that. Has enough gold for the BF, so goes back, has a good buy. Diablo here just on call, as well as the early upgraded boots, and Clear just going to continue pushing. And does have to get those early steel caps. Unfortunately for him, did not get them. And Raptor is now behind him, but Shun does have the Nature's Grasp, is in the area, could respond to this. Yeah,
you've actually seen that Vikla's found him already. You have a look on the minimap. So they do spot out the tree and look to move away. Raptor and Vikla now looking for this Scuttle Crab at Night in good position. Does dash on forward, finds some chains. We've got fights on multiple angles, though, as the Gnar comes through onto Bin. And now you've got Kellen roaming up as well. Let's see whether he can find himself an angle, as Raptor going to be the first target here for BLG. But the King's Tribute, the subjugation working out so well. Knight finally will be able to take him down, as Kellen turns up but isn't able to offer too much of anything at all at level 5. And BNK just lose another one.
Yep, and that is really nice by BLG. They had the earlier push, they had the faster recall and roam from on. He arrives, and BFX, no, they can't really do anything there. They just have to run away. Raptor was able to live quite a long time, but I think mostly because Shun was hoping to give that kill away. He didn't actually want to take it himself, so they are able to do that. And at the end of the day, it's 2K gold lead here at 8 minutes for BLG. This one's feeling a lot more similar to game 1 and 2, but of course game 2, BFX did end up winning regardless. And it kind of feels like as long as Diablo is in a decent spot, you have a chance, right?
Is Diablo alive? Chance we have. Yeah,
exactly. That's the code.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And right now he is, but he's in this bottom lane. Let's see what he can make of this, though, as the Arc of Judgment comes down. Decent polymorph there from On, but I think he knows that he's going to be going down. Hostile takeover, not really working, though, and there's the Wild Growth onto himself. Viper now in a little bit of trouble, but he stands his ground and does get a bit of work done, and Diablo unable to find it in the 2v2.
Yeah, Kellen clearly wanted to go really aggressive in onto Viper. He went for the R flash, tries to get the hostile takeover onto him, but he couldn't find an angle to hit On, and maybe if he had been able to hit both of them, they could have finished off that kill, but still, they do get a couple summoners off of On, but it is in trade for 3 of their own. So not the best trade at the end of the day, though it does seem pretty fine.
Yep, I'll be okay. Gonna look for a reset now. And Clear underneath this turret once again. I imagine every time he is under a turret, he is feeling a little bit frightened because he has been ganked quite a few times by BLG, and it's been quite successful for them. I'm still interested in how this is going to look as we get later on into the game, though, because I imagine like 4-1, 1-3-1, that is kind of what BLG are looking for. Yeah. And BNK want to do everything they can to get team fights around Diablo, right? Protect the President is what this is going to be all about. Yep. So convincing BLG to stop killing their side lane turrets is going to be their task.
It will. First Dragon going to be taken of the game. This one kind of late, so not going to be a super fast soul or anything like that. I'll also say I really do not like that Shun is going AP this game. I know that it is really, really common, but I just think when you have LeBlanc should only be on a team with solo AP. That is kind of just my take, is that you never want to make building MR valuable for a team against LeBlanc. You don't want people to have even any MR. You want them to be taking so much damage. You want LeBlanc to be able to stack a flat pen and really put on pressure. And so I do think it makes less sense for Shun to be going for this Leandries. I feel like just kind of a supportive tank style build would have been more effective, but because he's against the Trundle, I guess he feels, hey, I can't build tank. I need to go AP.
It's like the two things are working against one another. You know, you don't want to be building AP with LeBlanc, but you also don't want to be building it as a tank. So maybe you just shouldn't have built items.
There you go. You could,
AD. Should have built AD.
You just built support items, which are just OP.
There it is, as Diablo's found an ulti once again.
Nice
but On is just going to cruise his way out of there, on the hunt there for Viper. So it's a trade of ultimates.
Gets a move speed from Viper, sidesteps the zap, and as a result, not slowed up, is going to stay safe. I think just going with Zeeks and stuff is just always good. The support items are so OP to me. You know, the kind of builds we see on Malphite and whatnot, I feel like can fit on Maokai in a game like this, because you also have no true frontline, and you still do have Sivir. You need to have champions making space for Sivir. You can send the Yorick kind of forward, but Yorick doesn't really just want to walk in first and die. And lose the Maiden, so could be a bit harder for Viper, who I think has struggled to find space.
Well, Viper is looking for a little bit of an angle here. Aggressively uses the barrier as they look to try and get this Lulu out of there. The flash out, but the flash forward from Diablo as he locks down the kill. The immediate trade, though, comes in as Knight says, no, this is not a 2v2, buddy. Nope. And they lie on the floor. 2 extra members of support coming on through, but the cross map is there for BNK as they look to take down some plates in mid.
Yeah, they do get 2 kills, 4-1, but it is, again, Diablo getting a kill back in a 2v4. Essentially, at the end of the day, they got the TP off of Knight. They take some plates mid. Knight, though, going to be able to farm up some plates on the bot side. And again, it is BLG starting off this fight. They have the TP coming in. They have Shun coming in behind. Viper's able to sidestep that hostile takeover, gets the wild growth. Could have just played it a little bit more careful once again. All you need to do is back up a little bit early there. The Nature's Grasp is coming in from Shun, but underestimating the damage of Diablo. Diablo is going to take those skill checks 10 times out of 10. He loves those kind of fights. So if you challenge him, he will go for it. He trades his flashes, gets a kill, and Viper does not walk away with one. So it is still a very nice lead here for BLG. Very heavily focused on mid-jungle, but Diablo still getting paid.
And you saw it in the coach cam as well. Danny wasn't exactly psyched about how that one went, even though they're sitting at 5-1 as far as the kill score is concerned. Almost a 3,000 gold lead here in this game. But they know that like, this is a composition that can come online later on in the game, and BNK can make it work. BLG, I think they have to finesse their way through this mid-game and create a really big lead for this one to really be one that can very easily be closed out, right? Like, I know Sivir great in the late game, but it's about the pieces moving around it that won't provide the same level of protection.
Exactly. I mean, you can either push forward onto the Sivir with the pillar, which is going to be pretty annoying, or if they're diving forward, you just pillar the Sivir out. And if Sivir doesn't have all of these tanks to create space for, it is going to be more difficult. And it's also now 3 out of 4 games where Viper has had all his teammates there, a pretty much guaranteed kill on Diablo, and gone too far forward and made it a trade kill, given over a kill to Diablo. That has happened almost every single game, which is just not something you want to see. Even if it's a game that you're winning as a coach, you're talking about constantly improving. And let's be honest, if BLG is to be the challenge for Genji, you got to play near perfect. Genji has just looked so bulletproof. I mean, really for years, but this year as well in the LCK. They only dropped, I think, 2 games in the entire LCK Cup.
Yeah, one of the games that they dropped was against BNK. But that's it. They have been near flawless.
6-1 in those across those 2 best-of-5s against this team that you are now down against. So, if you are talking about BLG being that challenge to Genji, you're going to have to play at a higher level.
No. There's a really easy way to do it. You just convince Genji that it's the World Championship.
Well, you have to convince them not only that, because we've tried that before, but you have to convince them it's like finals or something.
Whoa, that's a flash forward. There's the handshake as he finds hostile takeover. Never mind, flash out from On to avoid that one as now the pillar comes in. Great wild growth as Raptor has to flash to get himself out of the way. Viper is still very scary. The flash wizard advance comes in. The bailout, is it going to be enough? Yes, it is! As Knight is eaten by the Trundle. But the nature is grasping and they're looking to try and answer this one back. Viper with these ricochets is trying to take them out, and Diablo, he survives for a while, but doesn't even get to the blast cone as BLG will answer.
BLG do answer back there. That was really risky for a moment. When Raptor got that bailout, you just started to think, oh my god, are they actually going to win the fight here? Vikla going back in on, but you got no one around you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, as Clear is going to show up, but he's back into Minina as he turns up, and Viper is getting another kill. 2-1 and 2 now on the Sivir. And I was saying that he may not necessarily be able to carry in the same way. Well, maybe I'm going to have to take that back. Yeah. This might be where he gets the redemption from the last few games.
Yep, going to be looking for it. And Shun fully committing to that AP build. Knight on 1.5 items here already. This is Diablo just going hyper-aggressive. Flash in from Kellen with the handshake.
The polymorph was so good out of On.
The polymorph buying a lot of time there. And then Diablo and Raptor are just on the run. As Knight comes forward, though, distorts in. I think he double tapped there, or maybe he felt like he had to go back into the Galio ult to get away from Diablo. I'm not really sure. But the fact that he distorted back so early meant Raptor got the kill faster and got the bailout. Maybe he dies to Diablo if he runs up, but I think at least the bailout doesn't come through to Raptor. At the end of the day, it did not matter. BLG get the reinforcements, do win the fight, and Bin going to be able to knock down a tower here. So nearly 4,000 is the gold lead now.
Well, now Knight is going to have to deal with this pillar. Let's see whether he's going to be able to keep himself alive, and they just kill him. He was trying to be a little bit tricky there, but we're going to have a look at the comparison between Vikler and Knight here in our Coinbase gold grind, and it is looking pretty good for this LeBlanc, regardless of the fact that she just died.
Yep, maybe Vikler's year, but it's Knight's day. That supersedes.
That's beautiful. That's poetry right there.
Thank you, thank you.
As Raptor is going to be able to grab himself this Rift Herald.
Don't speak too soon, buddy.
Yeah, never mind.
They're coming.
He's going to keep hitting it, though.
I think he will be able to grab it, but Bin is coming as well. And Knight has no DP because he used it to try to get out.
I think maybe they want to find a team fight as a heroic entrance is going to deliver them in. That's phenomenal avoidance there out of Shun as Viper dashes his way back. He doesn't dash, he just wanders his way back. Doesn't have a whole lot of mana though, is now clear. Looking to try and get himself out, and that is the Rift Herald going over to BLG. So like you said, speaking too soon can be dangerous. I'm going to wipe the egg off my face and we will continue the game. As B&K lose out on the objective, but they do not lose any of their players this time around.
Nope, they do not, and they will be able to knock down this tower here. BLG getting another outer. Bin is up towards that top side, and Vikla is basing. There's no TPs available, so top side tower is going to be gone as well. Knight is up there to cover, so is Shun. So that is all 3 outers now going to be claimed here in quick succession by BLG. About 5K now in the gold lead, and 3.5 until this next dragon where they can continue their march in towards Seoul.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing because they're playing out this 1-3-1 so beautifully. This is how you have to do it. You have to keep the pressure up completely as Shun might be in a little bit of trouble here, but Knight is lying in wait. Viper with a decent spell shield there as well. B&K know that this map is very dark and there are a lot of very scary things waiting for them. They're not going to be pushing any further forward. Even Diablo is not going to be pushing any further forward.
I don't believe you.
Well, he didn't in that moment. He probably will again.
Exactly. That's where I was going to try to get you with the semantics, you know? The technically correct. As Kellen does have a Mikhails, so it's going to be nice, obviously, for CC coming through from Shun, as well as Polymorph, which can be so big with how aggressively Diablo likes to go. He will be in range of that. Oh.
There's a chain connecting onto Raptor. He gets a pillar down, though. As you can see, Vikla making his way in. Distortion does get Knight out of the way, though, so he is going to be absolutely fine. It was a little bit of a bait attempt, you could imagine, out of Raptor there. They do manage to get the subjugate out of him, but this outer turret is going to fall, and B&K going to take a bit of a chunk out of that gold lead.
Yep, and that is an objective bounty, so those are up and available. You can see Clear is trying to push up through topside. Viper maintaining pressure in that mid lane, though. As Bin has moved down, he's taking a scuttle. And will continue to try to press the advantage. Though, yeah, closing that gold lead a little bit by about 1K. And it's all going to be, double scout slingshot buy from Diablo. I don't know if that was intentional.
Maybe it is, though. Maybe, like, dual wielding. Hang on,
what does it mean?
They're a pretty two-handed weapon.
Hold them each with one hand and then put them both in his mouth. You pull it back with your head.
But honestly, even if he's just got one, what does he do with the harpoon gun?
That's true.
It's a bit perplexing.
Yeah. My immersion has been ruined.
Yeah,
that's the unrealistic part of League of Legends right there.
We did used to have like the classic static shiv rapid fire cannon type build. Maybe he wants to do like something like that.
Nope.
No, I don't think so. He just sold it. Okay.
Just sold it. And Viper with an Infinity Edge. Turns out that is better than the double scout slingshot build. So
Diablo agrees. That's why he went back to change the build.
Wait. You can just do that? You can just get an Infinity Edge like that?
Well, Vikla did realize that he could leave via a flash, but Nature's Grasp is still going to connect, even though he buffered the Justice Punch very, very well. Still, this is a very sticky Maokai, and the Polymorph comes on down a very dead Galio now, as Bin is the one to pick that one up.
Yep, going to be able to get that kill. Diablo going to try to push in mid, but Knight has already cleared out the wave. So it's just going to be the trade on top side. Clear going to be trying to knock down that tower, and will not be an objective bounty as that has fallen, but it's going to be some more gold going into their pockets, trying to keep Clear relevant because he's going to have to be able to answer Yorick eventually in these side lanes. Here's TP.
Yeah, BLG making their way up. Going to leave Shelly in that bottom lane. She's the one that's split pushing now as Knight gets over. Looks for them distortion damage as Bin trying to get on in there as Shun. That Bramble Smash was massive. The Maiden, the only one hit by the hostile takeover as Shun not really getting a whole lot done with that wild growth thanks to On. As now Diablo doing his best to get the DPS numbers high, but the rest of his team are just getting obliterated. However, we're trying to make our way out is Vikla, but not able to heroically exit that one. The Wings of War from the grave helping out as now Diablo tries to stand his ground, but it does not work. And they just eviscerate them. BLG, a huge team fight towards the top side, and once again, there is a Baron waiting for them.
Right by the Baron, they're going to knock this down as well. That fight was a mess from BFX here, as Diablo, he got blast going over the wall. I'm not sure if that was intentional. It looked like they were kind of hesitating there. He got knocked away from his team, and then the hostile takeover from Kellen is thrown only at Bin, only hits the Maiden, when all of BLG were running up a tight corridor right to the side of him.
I feel like there was a better opportunity to use that ability. Let's have a look at it one more time.
Yeah, so I mean, early on, it's going to be a tough fight, right? Diablo's already been chunked out. Raptor flashes over the wall. This is where, why is the hostile takeover not to the right?
Yeah, that angle is so weird.
And why, did that blast get her early and knocking out Diablo makes it so tough. I think it's going to be a very difficult fight regardless, but they would have had a much better chance if they were together and if that hostile takeover was thrown to the right instead of off to the side there. On then flashes in with the polymorph. Diablo tries to use the flash to outplay Knight. They can't quite take him down. He went down to a sub 100 health before the heal came through. But at the end of the day, it is another BLG win here. They're going to grab the Dragon, move to Soul Point. And this one feels all but wrapped up for BLG, which would set us up for Silver Scrapes here in the opener at
Day one, game one, and we get Silver Scrapes. Absolutely incredible. We've already had a pentakill, double quadra kills, and we get Silver Scrapes. That would be exactly what we're looking for.
All kinds of stuff. We've
BLG,
had the year of Vikla. We've had...
Oh, man, it's been the year of just greatness. Maybe that's what we can call it. As, yeah, there's a bit of a chunk towards the end there, but otherwise a very linear gold graph here for BLG.
Well, they got tired of beating them up for a little bit. Like,
yeah,
you know what? All right, we'll sit down. We'll take a breather.
There was a pit stop in there at some point.
Ouch.
All right, yeah, that's a lot of damage out of Viper as Kellen throws out the hostile takeover. Vikla trying to look menacing. That may keep his bottom lane alive, but maybe not for long as they do manage to avoid the Nature's Grasp. But yeah, Clear not exactly so lucky.
He just flashed into the Nature's Grasp.
Yeah, kind of broke my brain.
I'm not sure if he was trying to like block that for Vikla or what he was thinking, but
yeah, was it heroism? It might have been heroism.
It was attempted heroism. We'll go like that.
It didn't work, as the inner turret will now be taken down. It is just Clear that's dead, but the health bars were way too low, so BLG will be able to just push this one in.
Kind of like that movie, you know, watching a movie and someone sacrifices themselves, and you're like, you all could have just left.
Yeah, like, God, fine.
like, no, I'll stay behind. Like,
and they spent 15 minutes having the last conversation. It's like, dude, just get on the plane.
We can leave at any time. No one has to die here. No, I'll do it. I love you.
Oh, it's so dramatic.
Yeah.
All right. Some of those are beautiful moments, though. Let's have a look, see whether BLG are going to have their moment as they look to push in a couple of lanes. Handshake is going to connect. That's decent, but the problem is there's not a whole lot of options here as Knight can just dash in with impunity. And Diablo, he's within kill range here. If Knight ever gets in range, that is just a dead Yunara, and then BNK's composition just falls apart.
It does, and we'll see if they're going to be able to find any way into this. It doesn't really feel like there's a realistic chance, though. They don't have any sort of real hard engage. I do think that the Renata has really struggled to find value. Clear going to try to look here for Viper.
All right, bit of a gargoyle delivery here as Vikla comes on in as well, but they don't find too much joy with the knockups as Viper is just kiting Clear out of the way, and he just dies. The wild growth is fantastic there as well as BLG front to back as they put them down again. It's a triple here, make it a quadra for Viper this time as he has finally arrived at First Stand 2026, and BLG will deliver us some Silver Scrapes, the very first best of 5, and we we go the distance here as the Nexus will go down. The first series of the tournament, and we get all 5 games. I know you guys were missing Silver Scrapes, so we made sure that it was here, the very first game. And also, we're doing no waiting. We're getting straight into the draft here for the final game of the series. And this, Azael, this is where I get nervous for BNK FearX. Because BLG have a lot of players that have been playing this game on this stage for a really long time.
Too many champions.
Yeah, like On can just play a Nivea if he feels like and win the game. Like it's kind of crazy.
It even works with his name. He can just play on Nivea.
On Nivea, I get it.
Yeah.
That's not how you spell it though.
No?
I don't think so.
What if I just want to spell it incorrectly?
That is the American
Then that's
way,
how I
isn't
spell
it?
it.
That's wait, no, you're Canadian.
buddy.
Dang it.
My Commonwealth bro betrayed me.
You do work in the LCS though, so maybe there's something there.
The proud Canadian region of the
Do
LCS.
Canadians speak Canadian English as well as French over there?
Yeah, we speak English.
Do you like, no, but like, is there a Canadian English? So you don't say stuff like schedule, which is like wrong, it's schedule, you know, like that sort of thing?
No, we say schedule for sure.
Yeah, so see,
But
you
we
still
have
speak
a
the
U in
American.
our color, and they don't. They just do OR. And ours is OUR.
Hey, yeah, we got that as well. That's
see,
cool, 'cause
Commonwealth
that's
Bros.
real. Yeah, no, and we are Commonwealth Bros, exactly. Okay, let's have a look at what's happening here, because there is a first pick Kennen in this game, and with Yorick taken away, maybe this is safer.
Well,
I don't know.
I think Kennen struggles into a lot of range matchups top, but whether or not like Jace, I was gonna say, a lot of range matchup top are pretty tough. Yorick is one of those good melee ones into it. I do think generally, you know, Kennen is a strong laner though, so I'm going to be interested to see if this Jace does get locked in. I would like it. I mean, it's a flex pick early on, and I do think it's a pretty good matchup into the Kennen, so would be exciting if we did actually get that matchup from Bin.
Pretty good plate collector as well. I feel like you can really get some decent advantages as you get longer into the game, as Caitlyn from Viper will be locked in here. So
I like that.
A lot of range being represented. The Lucian is once again banned away, and Diablo gonna have to dig deep for this one. I think like champions like Misfortune are still something that you could look towards if you want to have a little bit more early game aggression.
I feel like, I mean, Corky's still up, Callista's still up, Ziggs is still up, Zaya's still up. 80 carries, you can't complain about Fearless. Every 80 carry is just an 80 carry. Actually, I feel like, yeah, there's some that are weaker and stronger.
Okay, that's a Zoe.
Okay.
I don't think Vicla's played this so far this year.
Zoe Lee Sin, that is pretty spicy coming out here. Let's see, I'll double check if he has actually played it. No Zoes so far this year. So it's going to be
I think this is
new
the exact combination that we saw Gen G style on BNK on in one of the best of fives in the LCK Cup as well, actually. So a very interesting lock-in here, as we are also seeing a potential jungle pick, which would be odd considering the fact that they've already locked in the Caitlyn. This is a flex though. We are flexing all over the place on BLG's side.
Exactly. I was going to say, you know, it could definitely be Poppy support as well. So it could be support or jungle. In the jungle, great into Lee Sin. Super good into Lee Sin. I mean, Lee Sin can't do anything without dashes, right?
Yep.
Your Q is a dash. Your W is a dash. It's very easy to actually shut down Lee Sin. So I already am pretty concerned about the draft from BFX. I'm not going to lie. I think the first 3 from BLG are really, really strong. I think you can round out this composition very easily with kind of whatever you want. And Zoe can work with dive because you can kind of like soften people up and then dive, but generally it feels a little bit more disconnected, whereas I think BLG's comp can play at range, can, you know, control space, and use this Poppy, whether it's support or jungle, as more of a denial pick and just kind of play counter engage. I mean, the Poppy ult, incredible against Kennen ult. The Poppy W, incredible against everything that Lee Sin wants to do.
Poppy is just kind of perfect into everything that BNK has put down so far.
Ooh, so Elise, this is a bit of a throwback ban, but Caitlyn Elise obviously was really popular for a while, so still respecting that potential of a flex for this Poppy around, and they are going to be targeting that. Aphelios, you know, one of those other 80 carries that hasn't been banned. Like I said, they're just infinite 80 carries. I don't...
Just go down the list.
You just go down the list.
The Diablo Cogmore. Can we see that? When does that happen?
With what an enchanter do we put?
We've ran out of those a little bit.
A little Sona cog.
Oh, there we go. I mean, Sona is, like, she's been played.
Yeah.
Sona Lucian's not a bad lane.
Sona scales very well.
Well, the Nautilus is going to be taken away from Kellen, so going to deny a little bit of hard engage. And now one more ban to come down from BNK. Could be another support But I don't know whether you really want to go all in when they are so flexible in this draft.
Yeah.
Just getting rid of strong stuff that you don't want to deal with is probably the right way to do it. But instead, the bard just going to be taken away.
So they're double banning support. I really don't believe this is ever an Elise jungle. It's like an Elise support and a bard support.
Wait,
But
was it Elise a jungler?
Never.
That's crazy.
No, it wasn't. It was a top laner, though.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, that was originally she was played top, right? Oh my god. The numbers were so silly.
Poppy could just, you don't win support. You just play Poppy support.
This is a bit of a night special as well.
This is so good in their comp.
God.
Also, it means Zoe R counts as a dash, so you get the passive hit. The fear is so devastating for Lee Sin as you're going forward. You try to take that, it's very easy to turn around.
Instead, it's Morgana.
Instead, so this is really cool. So obviously, we are expecting it to be Morgana support. Kate Morg is kind of a throwback, but it could potentially still be mid.
Yeah.
The Black Shield works incredibly well against Zoe because of the Sleepy Triple Bubble. You can immune that sleep very, very easily. And I really like BLG's draft. I feel like they're cooking BFX right now.
The only champion we know is going into a role is Caitlyn.
Are we just getting Zyra Khan?
They could.
I mean, if you go Zyra Khan into Morgana Caitlyn, just FF, man. Just FF.
I don't think that's what you want.
I feel like that sounds horrible. When you Rakan W forward, it's so easy to actually just hit a binding and then the guaranteed binding into trap. You can Black Shield the engage from the Rakan as well.
Jhin makes me feel even worse. But I just don't like Jhin.
At least I feel like Jhin fits what their comp is going to do, which is run in. So, you know, it's like Jhin can pop ult, the Kennen is coming on a flank, Lee Sin goes forward. That's what you're kind of hoping for, right?
Yeah.
Is that everyone going in at once and try to make it happen. And now we are just waiting for, you know, is this Morgana going to be support, which I'm expecting it's support, and we're picking a mid laner here. But you could really cook, and you could go Morgana mid, Poppy support, and pick Kha'Zix as your jungler.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different angles we can go. This is flexible too. And Jace could even be mid.
Jace jungling?
Jace is mid. No, Jace is mid. So I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Poppy jungle, Morgana support, Jace mid, and Camille top is what I'm thinking. But maybe it's
okay. The
smart.
only thing we know is Caitlyn is not jungling, even if she is theoretically in that
So
position
far.
now. Yeah, so far, exactly. Unless it is Camille's spot, because that was also a thing.
Yeah.
And into Rakan, this was where Camille actually got her infamy, right? Was being able to just kind of destroy
press
Rakans.
hard. He cannot run away.
He cannot do that thing where he escapes.
Very interesting. I do think it makes their 2v2 kind of a lot weaker early. I mean, obviously, Camille does have some really good base damage, and when you go Hail of Blades, you can hookshot in, get some quick autos down. You can put out a lot of pressure. But I do feel like just picking a more standard mid here, and Caitlyn Morgana just feels like we're like hard shut down, shut down. Not shut down.
You tried to save that so hard that you made it worse.
Exactly, I did.
It was beautiful.
Anything that they wanted to do with the Rakan, right? So but this is very interesting, and obviously it's prioritizing more the mid lane matchup. So maybe Knight didn't have a better pick for mid lane, and maybe they felt
I like the Vex. The Vex was kind of
I thought the Vex was really cool too.
But I also liked the Mega Flex.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Like, only Caitlyn was all we really understood, and even BLG, I think, were figuring it out by the time they'd locked in 5 champions, who was going to play what. On the other side, B&K's comp is strange, to say the least, and I want to see whether Vikla has fixed it. Is he going to be 5 for 5? He could do it.
Did he get solo killed in practice tool before that? That's really what we're wondering.
That is a very good question. As Ben is going to find the Shock Blast, a lot of value there. Making a bit of money to start things off. Never mind, he's going to electrocute.
So it is going to be Hail of Blades and Ignite on. So definitely wants to scrap. And I wonder if he's just going to play like crazy, because you know when Camille support was popular, it was just full sending it in nonstop. Every time your passive shield is up, Hail of Blades is up, you are just flying in there and looking for damage. And of course, the interaction you're talking about is post level 6, where when Rakan goes in, you just ult the Rakan in. Rakan cannot battle dance away, cannot get out to safety. And nice little grand entrance there from Kellen, well timed, and a good sidestep.
Yeah, avoiding that Peacemaker was kind of crazy. As there is a flash on forward as Diablo with the barriers trying to keep himself alive, lit on fire, as they realize that they've just got to go all in if they're going to win this. But there's first blood! Diablo saves Vikla! He's not going to get first blood in 5 in a row!
Let's go! But that was crazy from On. No, he didn't want to wait for his hook shot.
No.
He just wanted to trade summoners, and Diablo was like, I have barrier, bro.
And he did trade summoners, and then he was out, but then he was back in again.
Yeah, I mean, The flash in and just using Ignite Hail of Blades was definitely crazy, and does go in, gets a lot of damage out, but we have to see this one more time because his hookshot was still on cooldown. His hookshot was still on cooldown from the previous play. He literally just flashed on him to use Hail of Blades and ignite him. I think he thought he was going to get so much damage down that Diablo would have to flash out, but he still has no hookshot. Wait till hookshot is up, and you either force the flash, or you can do it that way and then use the hookshot to retreat. It just didn't really make sense. On got very impatient there, wanted to put the pressure on with the Hail of Blades and the ignite, and gives over a freebie. And look at Diablo's buy. Cloth armor and boots. He's going to rush steel caps, and why wouldn't you against this bot lane?
Absolutely. And now you've got Shun getting a bit aggressive here towards his top side of the map, knows that this matchup's pretty good, and also he's terrifying. It's lollipoppy as well. That's emotional warfare.
Should be a banned
right there.
skin. Not for any competitive reasons, but for
I'm so glad that the splash
reasons.
art changed, but even if I see the new splash art, I see the old splash art, you know?
Yeah, it's with you, always.
Always, forever. Burnt into my retinas.
All right, well, Vikla on the roam.
With a Randuin's in hand as well, which is kind of fun. Bubble is going to connect onto Shun as Battlestar lands as well. Heroic charge though, and yeah, he's going to have to get out of there. Gets shielded up, the double battle dance, and he gets out! That's not the Vikla I know, but Raptor is going to pick up his mantle, and he goes down. On is the one that grabs the kill as well.
Yeah, I feel like Vikla just wanted to hit that Battlestar so bad that he didn't consider what would have to happen after that, right? He runs in, he hits the Battlestar into Poppy, but then Raptor is coming in to try to bail him out.
It's not the year of forethought. It's the year of Vikla, okay?
Yeah. Well, that was tragic, and things going bad
Is it getting better, Azael? Is it going to get better? Well, hookshot comes on forward. Lightning Rush is not going to save Clear here as he will go down. There is the answering kill, though, as On is going to be taken out by Raptor. And so 1-for-1, not too bad with the amount of invested by BLG, but still, it is BNK answering the plays that BLG are throwing out.
Yeah, and I like how Shun was still on 15 CS here. He's just not farming. He's just running around and fighting, man. Goes to the invade, and nicely done there.
All right. Let's Raptor. Gonna face check, and there is a shock blast from Bin as well. Flash out, decent, avoids it to the skies, but once again, On is here, and this time Knight is gonna be the one to take down the kill. Raptor is going to be secured, and BLG continuing to be in the lead as far as these kills are concerned, but the fighting is just not ceasing.
Nope, and Raptor, you know, he's bringing the camps to Shun. He is the camp at this point. Shun does not want to fight, and he is not gonna have to.
All right. Kellen gonna have to flash to get himself out of the way, but the heroic charge is going to be there, and Shun just lays the lollipop down. Everyone is just making drive-bys in this game. It's just like, hi, I'm just gonna grab this kill and I'll be on my way.
Yeah, it's not looking very good for BFX after the initial bot 2v2. This is a great start. Diablo gets first blood, everything's looking good, but they're just kind of taking some fights that I don't really feel like they have to, and it is very difficult for their champions in skirmish. Maybe they feel like their champions are not going to function well later on in the game, so they're feeling an onus to make plays. But I mean, come on, it's the first couple of minutes of the game. Vikla, I think, you know, in that topside fight by Red Buff, way overforced, and yes, he gets out, but I think Raptor kind of died as a result. And then Raptor, I feel like, really wanted to try to get something back onto Shun after Shun had taken away, you know, that topside scuttle and kind of just over-chased, ends up getting punished.
Didn't quite work out, but it's very early days in this one. Laning doing okay for Diablo, and I feel like that has kind of been what's been happening throughout this entire series. Has now been in the brush, but Kellen not going to go for too much more.
Level 3 Recon Roam, so not the most threatening there. As he kind of smacked Clear back, and On taking a nice little trade here onto Diablo. Diablo does have the tabbies completed, so that is finished, but you know, does mean he's been kind of on his own for a while and just getting pushed in by Viper, who just rushed a call.
Well, now you got a bit of a 3v3 here towards this top side of the map as Raptor and Kellen lying in wait trying to protect Clear as much as possible. Maybe that was the feedback, is let's not allow Clear to die multiple times in a row top lane, and that is how we're going to win this game. Yeah. And so far, it has kind of worked out as he has survived a couple of the ganks. However, he did get taken down earlier on.
And he has no TP, and Bin's going to get another plate probably. Bin is already 700 gold ahead. You're losing minions to the tower. And Bin probably going to cash in on another plate. He's already going back to base. So the solo lanes for BLG, as they have been many times this series, very far ahead. But the difficulty, I really think, is just compositionally how some of the champions are going to make plays on BFX. Because
it's just the amount of answers that the BLG has. As that Dark Binding was kind of insane. Although you portal jump and you're going to go back to the right position. As On, he's going to walk his way out of there. Paddlestar not doing too much from that range.
I mean, when you talk about Lee Sin, you always talk about the ability to have that big impact, to have a big play, but that is so tough against Poppy Morgana, because even if you can somehow get past the Poppy, you can just black shield the kick, right? You know, like, yes, you're still going to take the damage, but you have to get so clever to be able to find anything there.
Well, there's the black shield like you were talking about. Sleepy Trouble Bubble is not exactly an issue, as flash out from Viper to avoid the grand entrance, but good to get that out of the Caitlyn. Even though she is not necessarily going to be the main character of this game for a little while. Trying to keep her down is going to be very, very important. Is Q going to connect there on to On? There's the bubble as well. Steadfast presence is pretty good. The Paddlestar goes wide though, and now Diablo doing his best to keep the damage up. There's the knock-up, but the follow-up just isn't there. On still ticking. One last one not going to be enough as Knight is able to take down Raptor. Shun limping his way out as well, but all of BLG keep themselves alive. My goodness, On is just, he's a psychopath, but it's working.
It is, and that's kind of how you have to play Camille support, right? You are a champion that needs to make plays, that wants to be in their face, and this is just looking so hard for Clear. Talked about these range matchups, how difficult they can be for Kennen. Kennen really excels when you have the push and you can harass them as they're farming these melee minions, as they're farming these range minions under tower. And you just can't do that. You're getting outranged, you're getting poked down. And even with these roams up the top side, On is here now as well. So he's just going to push Kellen back. Bin is safe. And he's going to clear out some of this vision for him to just continue allowing him to bully this lane.
Yeah, Kellen is going to turn up and at least try to protect Clear for the moment, but the grand entrance is avoided. He flashes in. Bin is going to die, and that was probably a mistake. But I do like the vibe, you know, the idea, the gusto. Yeah, Kellen's now really dead. On's going to be able to lock down that kill. And the answers keep coming here from BLG. Even though BNK pretty happy to have another kill on the board. Yeah,
they are very happy to be gifted that kill by Bin. That was crazy. I think he could have even just walked back. I don't even know if he had to flash back in that case.
Yeah.
But instead, he tried to flash over, and I don't know if he was trying to make a big
He did
outplay.
Successfully flash over the grand entrance.
He did. And now he's going to be able to force out the TP because they had delayed the base there. So Clear has to TP back to base as he sees Bin coming in from the side. But yeah, I'm not sure if that was a mistake or something he was trying to go for an outplay, flash over, and then one-shot Clear. Maybe that's what he was kind of thinking in his mind. But Clear has ulti, and you're going under the tower, so you're just going to get CC'd up. The wave gets cleared out, and he does get taken down. But still, it is an over 2,000 gold lead.
Well, now a teleport towards this bottom side of the map as Knight is going to be showing up. There is the snap trap as Kellen able to survive here as well. In goes On, but Knight was here a little bit too late. And so BNK able to take down the AD carry and get themselves out of there.
Yep, doing a really good job with that. I like how they handled. Viper had really well-positioned traps, and so Kellen can't be the one to tank. He can't be the one to start it because as he goes in, he's always going to have to walk through a trap to walk out. So they had someone else hold the aggro for him. He goes forward, gets the CC. They do get the kill without losing anyone. Kellen did end up having to flash away at the end, but still pretty well handled there. And BLG going to take a dragon as the prize on the other side. Again, it's that first dragon, so we're not looking for a super fast soul game or anything like that, and it doesn't feel like a game that would really come down to that realistically.
It's not feeling like it. I don't think you're going to need a dragon to convince these teams to fight each other. I think they will just be fighting each other. As Bin looking to try and take down this outer turret towards the top side of the map, that is likely to be a success. And you know what's really cool about having a Game 5 with a Morgana mid lane? It brings me back, man. And I know the last time was in 2019, but it's the first time. 2015, EDG versus SK Telecom.
Yep.
That Game 5 Morgana, it was a masterstroke by Pawn.
And it was against, so to let you know the story for people who don't know that series and didn't watch that series a long time ago.
It was a bit of an ancient one.
This was Faker on his LeBlanc that he had not lost on. He was a ridiculous record. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but say 20 games in a row or
it was
whatever.
Like 26 or something
like that. I can't remember. Between 20 and 30, say, wins in a row on LeBlanc. And in game 5, they leave it open. So, of course, he's going to pick it. And they counterpick with the Morgana. They end up taking them down. They win MSI. And it was a pretty iconic moment for sure. And now we can see that Ward was spotting him out. So Bin knows about it, but is going to be pushed off the wave.
Yep. He is just going to wander his way out, though. And so will be staying alive. The gold lead isn't exactly massive at this point in time. As Diablo here towards his bottom side, looking to try and avoid Shun. And Steadfast Presence wasn't there for Diablo as he dashes on in. The Viper is going to deliver another minion wave towards this outer turret, grabs himself a plate and another one. And so that will help extend that gold lead for BLG. And I think already this is a composition it's strange. It feels like a very Game 5 of Fearless type draft as, oh my goodness, Kellen's just dead.
Yeah, he got locked down by that CC.
Oh no, it's not a time to get sleepy, Ben, as the Paddle Star comes on forward. And the auto from Vikla is going to be enough to take him down in the end there. So BNK answering very, very quickly. As their support was down, Vikla picks up a barrier and is just going to throw that one out. And BNK realizing that they have to get out of here, they are going to just move up the river and escape.
Good kill onto Bin. Even with the early Hex Drinker as well as the Merc Treads, they're able to kill him through that with double AP. Not the easiest thing to do. It's also worth noting that Clear did not go for a Gunblade build, which a lot of people are doing these days for the 1v1. He's instead going for the Rocket Belt, which is much more team-focused, much more about the 5v5, where you are going to need every little bit you can get. And here it is one more time, just stunned, bound, trapped, pretty much everything. Bin had no flash because of the unfortunate thing that happened in top side, and does try to sidestep to sleep, cannot do it. So nicely done by Vikla. That's really all they needed to hit to be able to set up that kill.
Yep. Rather is looking quite perplexed, and I don't blame him whatsoever. I feel like that would be kind of our facial expressions after a few of the occurrences in this game. Yeah, mild perplexedness.
Well, Raptor's just going to keep looking for plays. Up towards the top side, he is hovering behind Clear, just constantly trying to find angles to be useful on this Lee Sin, which is going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, avoid the Poppy. If he's finding where the Poppy isn't, he's doing something right. As Vikla picks up a Ghost Blade. Speaking of picking up a Ghost Blade, that is not where Diablo went. That's kind of fun. This was buffed, I believe, on this patch as well.
Yep.
So going to be building some stuff in the base.
Yep, and Bin is behind him, but both junglers are here.
Yep, there's the Slicing Maelstrom one more time. Let's see whether Kellen can get here in time as the ulti misses from Shun, and that is going to be the end of Bin. Clear goes in, finds it. There's the quickness as well. As the Trouble Bubble comes down, everyone's joined as Vikla dashes forward and finds the angle. Knight trying to do what he can as he's got the tether out, but Raptor gets out, breaks those chains, goes back in and destroys him. Viper, though, he's going to be able to find some pot shots as On will knock them all out, and Raptor looking for that angle, but Viper just shoots him. A gun is going to be the answer here as Kellen gonna have to make his way out.
Nice initial play there from FearX, but BLG are able to respond to it. Diablo is pushing down on bot side. They're trying to get something else here, but Viper just got paid. Is going to be able to knock down this tower. Will be first tower. All that gold going into Viper's pockets. He's now 1.6K up, even with Diablo getting the first blood all the way back at the start of the game. So Viper is going to be a problem now here. Is already on 1.5 items. May just go for a full collector in there. Yeah, he has it.
Oh my God.
So full 2 items right off the back of that. We can see it one more time. Bin does get spotted here. He gets stunned up. They set up pretty nicely for Raptor. Bin lives a long time, which ends up costing a lot of resources to take him down. It was a very quick TP from Knight. And then as Knight arrives, yes, Shun is down, but he knows he has Viper coming. He knows they don't really have any resources, and he nails the full combo there onto Vikla, the binding into the ult, and then everyone piling in here onto Knight. And yes, Kellen is trying to peel Viper, but Viper is largely uncontested. He's walking forward, he's autoing. They just don't have the spells, they don't have the cooldowns to actually really threaten the Caitlyn at this point. So you won the early part of the fight, and someone made Noopsy.
Yeah, I think Shun just, is it? Oh, we didn't even see! As Kellen going in and tries to get himself out. He is going to be successfully able to do that. On is dead as Knight. One more shot will do it. That deadly flourish wasn't enough, but it is going to be the shutdown over to Vikla. Immediately, that one's answered though, as BNK are finding it. It's Viper that's down. Shun is just going to evict Raptor, but Clear is still here. Diablo there as well. That Shun, he runs pretty quick, so he'll be able to make his way out. And in the meantime, Bin is like, I'm glad no one's around me. I'm going to not die and take a turret.
Well, we'll see. They might stay around because they want to try to stop this dragon take here by Raptor. Raptor doesn't really have any support just yet, so Diablo is going to have to come over. Kellen got out of that fight with, I want to say, sub 50 health. Yep. He is back now, though, and has purchased his Mikhails, so that is going to be ready and really powerful. Shun going to drop the Battle Herald.
Yeah, let's see whether Shun can actually steal this one away, as he's not going to be able to do that, but On goes in, finds the Hextech ultimatum, and now Shun is going... But On's already dead, and Raptor can follow this one, and although not anymore, it's well out of range. As Vikla showed up. So it is just On dead and Shun just taking a bit of a ride.
Yeah, and it's a wasted Herald, so the Herald doesn't really do anything for them whatsoever, and they lose the Dragon, and they lose another kill here, as well as the flash and the ulti off of On, so that was a pretty expensive fight. They didn't even get the flash off Diablo, by the way, even though they were pumping everything into him. He knew his limits, knew he was going to be safe in that moment. And BLG are getting pretty fast and loose with this. I think they have the compositional advantage, but they had a big early game lead, and they just keep fighting. And kind of against all odds, Raptor is now really fed. Raptor is 1.4K up. He is becoming a bit of a problem. Yes, there's all these tools to stop him, but if you're just fighting non-stop, he's pretty powerful in these skirmishes.
Yeah, and if you wait for the cooldowns, then there are angles where you can make it happen. It's just quite difficult to play the Lee Sin against a composition like this. Let's have a look at the Coinbase gold grind, though. Viper versus Diablo, and Viper is still well and truly in the lead on this Caitlyn.
Absolutely is. But some early stacks here for Diablo, as he's going to be having some bonus AD. The more you can fight, the more kills you get, the more AD you do get on the activation of that item, on the proc of that item, whatever you want to call it. You have bonus AD for, I can't remember what it is, 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it is after you get a kill. And as there, it has fallen off. But the next time he gets a kill, you retain all the previous stacks. So the more action you have, the more AD you are going to get. And Jin already, thanks to his passive, gets a tremendous amount of AD. And as much as people think about it as kind of an early game champ, I do agree for the most part. But once you get into the full late game, Jin starts killing everybody because you just have infinite AD.
Yeah, I feel like you're good on like one item, like the one item spike feels fantastic, and then you wait until 4 or 5, and then he becomes good again.
And then on 6, you just randomly look at your AD. Whoa, I have 1,000 AD. Turns out that's pretty good.
That's where you're looking at your character sheet, just having a great time as you walk towards the Nexus.
Clicking it,
yeah, that's the theory. That being said, Caitlyn on maximum items is also absolutely devastating. She's just got such long range on those auto attacks. As now Bin, he got a little bit tired there momentarily, but Vikla doesn't quite find the paddle star, goes to sleep. Bin is going to be able to at least survive. On was trying to get on in there, but Raptor did tag in there with a Sonic Wave.
And Knight now has a rocket belt here for himself, so a little bit more mobility to be able to, either dodge a skill shot or to get in there on these fights.
As Hextech ultimatum comes down, as On is underneath the outer turret in mid lane. He is going to die, but he takes Diablo with him. Now Clear looks for the angle. They do take another kill, as now Clear is trying to find even more. The Sonic Wave doesn't quite land, but that W did so much work out of this cannon. Viper is going to be able to take him down in the end, as Vikla needs to do what he can. Viper finally will fall, but not before picking up a triple kill. And Vikla always had to go back to that portal jump, so Bin is going to put him in the ground. And BLG, the last team standing in that one.
Yeah, it's an ace at the end of the day here for BLG. They full send it on to Diablo, and you start thinking, hey, maybe they could actually turn this around. In comes the cannon, but the TP, unfortunately for him, is not that deep. He flashes forward, but most of the ult wasn't really connecting in onto Viper. Then Kellen has to flash in because he can't actually W forward. He can't use the Grand Entrance with the Poppy W up. So they're committing so many resources to just get through to him. And in the meanwhile, Bin and Shun are just crushing everyone who is trying to fight past them, who is trying to get in onto the Caitlyn. And the fight goes heavily BLG's way.
And I think as soon as fights are actually underway, B&K's composition just doesn't work as well as BLG's, right? B&K need to be fighting around windows where they land a trouble bubble, get a pick, something like that. They're looking for a pick here on tonight, but he has that black shield. There's the tether as well. Shun's going to make his way in. Doesn't quite get the stun onto Kellen, as now they look for it. There's the slashing maelstrom from Clear, but he's likely to go down, as it's the Caitlyn in once again, and the consistent damage that we were talking about is Viper in this game. He picks up a double, and I think he heard the people talking about the first 3 games of this series, and he is looking absolutely fantastic in this one. 8-3-3.
And that could very well be Baron. Are they going to start it? They're not going to elect to just yet. I mean, they killed Raptor and Clear had no TP, so I thought they might have looked for it, but they want Vikla.
Yeah, that is Ace in the hole coming on down. Vikla is very dead, ladies and gentlemen. Over the wall goes on, and that is Viper able to grab that pot shot to make it 9-3-3.
I mean, he's going to have an E on base, so that is incredibly difficult to deal with. It's Hextech Soul that would be on the table. This is just their second Dragon. I don't even know if we're going to get there, but he's over 4,000 gold ahead individually. We're 21 minutes in. He's going to base. He's going to have IE. He's going to be on his way to the next item there, where you're going to start seeing defensive items coming through, luxury items coming through, and if you can't one-shot Viper, you really have no chance.
Is it like IE Last Whisper on this next back? Like, oh my goodness, it would be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he is just so fed, and this is the problem. They have to spend so many resources to kill off one person. This is how every fight is kind of looking, where, yeah, they kill Knight, but again, in comes Viper. He kind of just walks up, and he's just going to right-click people. He doesn't have to do anything fancy. He's just picking up kills for free because every resource is just being spent to kill one person. In the last fight, it was all being spent to kill him, but then that meant that Bin and Shun were uncontested. In this fight, you're full sending everything on to Knight. You do kill him, but you can't deal with the Caitlyn afterwards.
Well, now B&K know exactly what they need to do in this game, and that is kill Viper,
and that is
or they will
for a
lose.
remake.
That is, yeah, well, that too.
That is hope for a chrono break.
Yeah. What bug can we exploit in order to get this one thrown in the bin?
You can choose who you want to kill, but you are 7K down with quite a compositional hole, I think. And
hey, more than half of that gold lead though is just Viper. So if they start the fight with him dead, then it's only a 3K gold lead.
And I'm not sure how the LCK feels about Jhin, but
I hate
in the LCS, we are not a fan. It is the fastest pick this and go home quick champion of all time.
Yeah, it does kind of work. And also the very sad second item collector when you're this far behind just doesn't feel like it does much of anything at all.
At what point does he get IE, you know?
Well, it's
maybe
not
next
third
game.
item.
Maybe next game.
Maybe next. Yeah, I hope it's. Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's at least another series. There's a lower bracket, okay? So
exactly.
he has a chance to buy an
That's
IE.
the build order. Here you go. Collector second, rapid fire third, IE next game.
Next game on a different champion.
Yeah. Hey, he can go back to the Jhin. We don't know.
That's true. It's not fearlessly banned in the next series, unfortunately.
Much to the LCK fans' dismay.
Indeed. Well, Kellen possibly caught out here. Does have the quickness in order to get himself out, but Viper is absolutely on a rampage. And Raptor with not much of an opportunity here. Hexgate gets clear out as he was looking for a flank angle, but it didn't quite work. Some pot shots being taken here by Diablo, but they're not really doing anything at all. Yeah, that beach ball just a little bit sad.
Saving grace.
Sitting there alone.
They can't do Baron at least in front of the Zoe, as well as the Kennen having flash and ult. True. So is not going to be Baron. It's just going to be one kill, but of course does mean they are falling further and further behind here. Kellen with a bit of a weird build here, going for the Oblivion Orb next. I don't really feel like healing is that big of a deal, but I guess it is Double Sundered Sky, so that's kind of maybe what he's thinking. It's Double Sundered Sky. There is some healing there from runes as well on the Caitlyn.
The fleet footwork.
You've
got to counter the fleet footwork, man.
Yeah.
Very important.
His feet are just too shifty. We can't let him get away with this.
If he can't run really fast due to the fleet footwork, then we can kill him.
He will no longer have fleet feet after this Oblivion Orb is applied.
Someone needs to tell him that the movement speed is still there, even if his healing is lowered a little.
The skies will not be sundered, though.
True.
Well, they will, but...
right, actually, yeah, no, they will. They'll just
still
less sundered. Less sundered.
Yes.
Semi-sundered skies. Good alliteration. Didn't know about that one. That's all right. Having a look here at the gold, this is looking like a pretty BLG gold graph.
It is. It's been a very up and down series.
Yeah.
Very surprising wins have come in a few times here from FearX, so we'll see if they're going to be able to.
I think game two was definitely back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And then we had a pretty shocking end to the game, but otherwise it was pretty business as usual.
And this one is going to need some X factor. It's going to need that incredible Lee Sin kick. Viper getting one shot. It's
Show us whose year it is, Vikla.
That 5-man Kennen ult. Yeah. It's got to be these types of plays that give you a shot. If I'm FearX, I'm waiting for that perfect moment. I'm not fighting this next dragon. I don't think you really want to care about it. and you probably just try to hope that they go for an ill-advised Baron or something like that, that you can really punish, or you can get a random Elder Dragon steal later or something that is really going to flip the game on its head. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just give this next Dragon, because they have no vision in that area. I just don't think it is the hill to die on in this game. I think when you're this far down, you get one fight at best, and that one fight has to be, you know, the best possible opportunity you can find.
Well, this inner turret is not long for the world. That will be taken down. Some Deadly Flourish poke is coming on through, but the Shock Blasts are hurting so much more from Bin, sitting on 2.5 items for the moment. As BLG, they will just fall back towards this Dragon up in 10 seconds time. And BNK, yeah, electing to go for a reset. They are not fighting this one. Hex Gates will get them back out onto the map, and they're looking for a little bit of a cross map towards the Baron, perhaps.
Yeah, there's double vision wards over there, though, so they are spotted in the area. I don't think there's any chance they can actually steal this away. They just don't have any damage, right? Like, who's going to kill the Baron? Even if you go for a Baron sneak, your Jin's not going to do it, your Zoe's not going to do it, your Kennen's not going to do it, so it will be very, very slow. But they just give up the Dragon, they try to clear out a little bit of vision, get what you can on that top side, which is, unfortunately for them, very little. And you just try to live to fight another day. See if you can find something in one of these big fights coming up soon.
Well, that damage graph is pretty Viper focused, as we can see here. Steadfast Presence does get Shun in, but that does wear off, so Raptor is able to safeguard his way out. BNK are just doing their very best to put out fires here, but unfortunately the Inferno rolls forward. BLG now looking at this top inner turret. Shock Blast does go a little bit wide there momentarily, but Shun just kind of by himself is a wall that BNK cannot get past.
He's level 15. He is higher level than Vikla, and he is not threatened.
Hextech Ultimatum does come down, and I think that on, no, never mind, not going to die, just going to take a nap, and the Deadly Flourish, sorry, is going to get blocked, and so he survives once again. The curtains have been called, but I think we know whose curtains they are that we're going to have to worry about in this game. As BLG just going to make their way out. They've taken the inner turret. That is good enough for them.
Yep, BLG fully in control, picking up some of these defensive items as well. You can see Knight is working in towards a Banshees. He knows the game has not been about him. He is not super fed or anything, so just grabs the Ardent Barrier, has that, has the Black Shield. Knight's Vow completed now for Shun. Just slap that on Viper or even Bin if he's going to be your dive buddy. Yep. And really you're just playing that supportive style at this point. Viper picks up a QSS as well as some Vamp. And so now you have to get through Black Shield, you have to get through Ardent Barrier, you have to get through QSS, you have to get through so many tools to even try to find a pick here. So the job for Furex gets that much harder.
It was already looking quite difficult for Vikla, and now it has become even harder to try and find those bubbles to win the game, as the Baron has been started. And as you can see, the map is very dark. They do get a little bit of vision here, though. And so BNK will spot them out, stop the Baron for now.
And Diablo does have another Scout Slingshot. So he's got the slingshot
every time.
Locked and loaded. So now
it's the David versus Goliath, you know? There it is. That's how you know that they understand they need to try and take down the Titan.
Buy a Mage Eyes.
Yeah. No. Buy a slingshot. You need a slingshot. It's in the story.
5 slingshots.
Yeah. As many slingshots as you can.
Sell that Oblivion Orb and get a slingshot.
Yeah, what are you doing, Kellen? We didn't like the Oblivion Orb anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't think they have enough slingshots. 2 minutes time, and then the game is really, really difficult. Hextech Soul is kind of absurd, but Caitlyn's range means that she can just kind of proc it all the time and forever, especially with a rapid fire cannon done, and a Mercurial Scimitar is completed at the same time. So there is just kind of... it's going to be difficult to kill Viper, let's just say that.
Yes.
Black Shield will be there as well from Knight.
Yeah, he is so fed and has so many tools to protect him. You got to find a perfect angle, but they need to get there early and start getting some vision. I feel like that is mission number 1. You know, try to find some deep wards. Hope you can get a perfect TP flank from clear. You need to really have that perfect setup to have any hope in the fight, because if you're walking in with no vision, you've already lost. It's just going to be a trap line from Viper. It's going to be Black Shield on whoever you engage on. You have to come from behind them, because look at that. That's one shot. Yeah. One auto onto Vikla, and he loses half his health.
Well, going in once again as Kellen. Speaking of, yeah, he is just very dead. Shouldn't going to be able to help lock down that one. Shock Blasts are doing so much work. The flash out from Raptor is going to allow him to stay alive. But without Kellen, it's going to be so much more difficult to defend against this Dragon. He will be up pretty quickly, as his death timer is not exactly the highest, but BLG wandering back towards the Baron, and I think they should be able to take it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no flash on Lee, no flash on Zoe either, and they're going to do this really fast here. And well, Clear is going to spot it, so maybe this is where they draw the line in the sand.
Let's see whether they can find the angle. The Raptor's not going to be able to get here, so they're not going to be able to steal this one away. That is going to be the Poppy locking it down. On taking a fair bit of damage, though, and BLG, they do not want to overextend. They're happy to take their prize and move on forward. I feel like that's the evolution that we were looking for. They were taking every single fight forever, and now they take the objective, they walk away, they look to use that money in order to close this game out.
Yep, exactly. They go for the quick reset here, back on the map, trying to play for this soul. FuryX have got to fight this now. You just can't give up Soul, I think, at this point and have any realistic chance of coming back. But maybe they're saying, you know what, we have a better hope of just waiting and hoping that it goes to Elder. But I just don't know that they're really going to get another chance to actually have a fight. They have no vision in the area, though, so it is just going to be a given up Soul. Not even going to try to contest, but now it is going to be Hextech Soul. It's Baron, it's 10K in the lead. So by the time they actually take a fight, I just think there's not going to be any fight to have, you know? Everything is going to be finished as far as these luxury items, as far as these defensive items are concerned.
Well, it is feeling like a priceless moment here for BLG as they do hit that coveted soul. Out goes on as well. He is going to be able to keep himself alive. I just don't see there being much of an angle to get back into this one for BNK FuryX, unless there is some sort of miracle. That inhibitor did not last very long at all.
Kelvin almost got one shot by a Caitlyn auto. He lost about 90% of his health.
Yeah. Headshot rapid fire cannon combo is just kind of absurd when it does come on through. Shun just clearing out all of the vision here as well. Even the turrets just dead. Vikla, speaking of which.
Yeah, I mean, they just, whoa, that was actually close.
That portal jump scared me a lot.
They just can't even walk forward. They're just giving up everything. I mean, you can't give up every tower, everything, though, and expect to really have a shot, but there's not really a clear way in. They have no vision. I mean, look at the map. There's no wards at all. They have nothing on the map, so they have no way to go for a TP, and you cannot win a fight where you're walking straight at them. Just look at these shot blasts. It's crazy.
Well, Clear is looking for an angle here, but Vikla is very dead. And there's the Dark Binder connecting. Clear in by himself. And will be able to do a bit of damage, but I don't think he's killing anyone. As the rest of BNK, they try their very best. Diablo stays alive, but he's the only one able to post that as Raptor is going to get caught. Tries to do some funny business in order to get himself out. But I think that was the last gasp here for BNK FuryX. And BLG, in 5 games, will be able to take the first best of 5 of this tournament and look to continue on in the upper bracket. It's not the last you've seen of BNK FuryX, but it was a long one. They made sure that BLG fought for it, but it will be the LPL first seeds taking the first series, the first stand 2026.
BLG get it done at the end of the day here. Very dominant final game, very dominant first game.
Yeah.
Some speed bumps along the ride, though, for them in the middle.
Just watch the ends, and you'll be like, oh yes, this is the BLG that I was expecting.
It's like a sandwich where the bread is the best part.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that just means you're really good at making bread. I think that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you put
Excellent
in it.
bakers in the LPL.
Yeah,
and first seed gets the job done, but I will say it won't inspire confidence against, you know, a potential Gen G matchup down the line. Lounge, what do you think?